Majority Report with Sam Seder.
The destiny of America is always safer in the hands of the people than in the conference rooms of any elite.
Sam Seder.
They are unanimous in their hate for me, and I welcome their hatred.
We must guard against the acquisition of unwarranted influence, whether sought or unsought, by the military-industrial complex.
The Majority Report with Sam Seder.
And I get the feeling you've been cheated.
It is Thursday, August 21st, 2025. My name is Emma Vigeland, in for Sam Seder, and this is the 5-time award-winning Majority Report. We are broadcasting live steps from the industrially ravaged Gowanus Canal in the heartland of America, downtown Brooklyn, USA. On the program today, Elizabeth Pancotti of the Groundwork Collaborative will be with us to talk about Trump's tariffs raising prices on back-to-school essentials. And later in the show, Graham Platner, Democratic candidate for U.S. Senate in Maine, will be with us to talk about his race. Also on the program, Pam Bondi ramps up her threats against blue states and cities over them legally not complying with the ICE Gestapo. Deportations hit a new high, 180,000 so far. Uganda is the latest country to cut a deal with Trump to take abducted immigrants. Texas Republicans officially pass their deeply gerrymandered map. J.D. Vance is booed in D.C.'s Union Station as Stephen Miller promises that more federal dollars will be wasted on this display. They are spending $1 million a day on the D.C. occupation. Vance, fresh off his 8th vacation in 7 months, will travel to Georgia today to sell the administration's deeply unpopular big ugly ass bill. The DOJ is demanding that hospitals hand over sensitive information on trans kids receiving care, including addresses and private doctor's notes. A Reuters poll finds that a majority of Americans, 57%, think democracy is in peril as Newsom's redistricting plan gets Obama's approval. After accomplishing nothing, Trump is reportedly taking a step back from Ukraine-Russia peace talks. Doing nothing. Guys, check the IM, by the way. The Israeli government officially approves its most extreme West Bank settlement project that would divide up the land in a way that kills the prospect of a Palestinian state. And lastly, a judge rejects the Trump administration's efforts to unseal the Epstein grand jury testimony and calls on them to just release the files. All this and more on today's Majority Report. Welcome to the show, everybody. It's an Majority Report Thursday. Hello, hello. I just need the I can't see the screen on your computer. That's what I'm alluding to. The internal camera. The live feed. I'm not seeing it, oddly. That could be a problem on my end then, but we're fixing that. Don't worry. Yeah, I don't see it here. Do you see? Well, we don't need to do this right now live. It's just
that small one.
Oh, it's the small one. Okay, it is my fault. Sorry. Sorry, guys. All right. Well, a bit of an inauspicious start, but we're rolling with it. I'm excited for the show today, though. Graham Platner seems like the real deal, and I heard through the grapevine that he is a Majority Report fan. So that means his politics have got to be good. Let's start here then. So last night, Laura Ingraham had J.D. Vance on her show for an interview. And this answer here from him to one of her questions about trying to force the states and cities to comply with the federal government, I think kind of encapsulates really the overarching theme of this administration, or one of the many ones. For people that don't know, the federal government does have control over, immigration law. That is in their purview. But there's this thing called the 10th Amendment, which says that states and local governments do not have to be forced. They cannot be compelled to enforce laws by the federal government. They can't actively thwart them, which is, I think, what they're trying to argue in the administration. But this has been a precedent that has been reified and reasserted multiple times, including by one Antonin Scalia in the case in 1997, Prince v. United States. The quote, which I read this morning in a conservative publication, said, "The federal government may neither issue directives requiring the states to address particular problems, nor command the states' officers or those of their political subdivisions to administer or enforce a federal regulatory program." So that is the case with immigration law. Cities don't have to comply with ICE, and that is in the Constitution. And yet, that is what this administration is obsessed with. So here is Laura Ingraham asking the vice president about that dynamic.
Given the fact that they're endangering the lives and killing American citizens, as we saw with that horrific crash in Florida.
Literally killing American citizens.
Literally killing Americans. I mean, these are not made-up statistics. These
can you pause it? These are not made-up statistics. They are referring to a truck driver who was an immigrant from India, who I guess was in Florida, and he had a driver's license, God forbid. And he made an illegal U-turn, and it killed 3 people. What do you mean these are not made-up statistics? You're not citing a statistic, Laura.
They're anecdotes.
You're citing an anecdote about a car accident.
Yeah, and people always point out ad nauseum that immigrant communities are typically commit less crimes and violations than do citizens of this country. But because they're immigrants, people like this fascists demonize them.
Well, I mean, I was going to get to that later, but now that you brought it up, we can just read this briefly from NPR last year. Some of the most extensive research on this comes from Stanford University. Economist Ran Abramitsi found that since the 1960s, immigrants are 60% less likely to be incarcerated than U.S.-born people. There's also state-level research that shows similar results. Researchers at the Cato Institute, a libertarian think tank, looked into Texas in 2019. They found that undocumented immigrants were 37.1% less likely to be convicted of a crime. Beyond incarceration rates, research also shows that there is no correlation between undocumented people and a rise in crime. Recent investigations by the New York Times and the Marshall Project found that between 2007 and 2016, there was no link between undocumented immigrants and a rise in violent or property crime in those communities. It's also important to note that since the spike in the 2 pandemic years, and also it crossed over into 2023, but crime in general in the country has been precipitously declining. So there is no data that backs up their racist claims, even as Laura Ingraham comes up with an anecdote that she says is data.
Right. And I mean, to be fair to libertarians, like Chase Oliver, the candidate that was on their ticket, had probably the best immigration platform of anybody on the ticket. But, somebody like Dave Smith had to package up libertarianism for Donald Trump to win. But yeah, do we want to go back to JD?
Yes, we'll start the question from the beginning.
Get better policies that actually serve the American people.
Given the fact that they're endangering the lives and killing American citizens, as we saw with that horrific crash in Florida.
Literally killing American citizens.
Literally killing Americans. I mean, these are not made-up statistics.
Not
just happened.
Like, how about say that about the gun industry? Sorry.
And I mean, federal highway funds, that's leverage that the federal government has over the states that refuse to do the basics.
That's exactly
Would you
right.
consider advising that DOT and the administration pull back on federal highway funds for these states.
So I don't want to get ahead of any administration announcements, but we are looking at a whole host of points of leverage we can exercise over California and other states to make sure they comply with the law. Sanctuary cities are killing people because you allow these violent criminals to set up shop in your cities. Obviously, you saw this case with the person who murdered people on the road, 3 people on the road, because he couldn't even read the road signs. We have a lot of points of leverage here, but fundamentally, I think the American people have to stand with us here. Because when we go and tell the governor of California or the governor of New York that you have to stop putting the interests of illegal aliens over American citizens, we need the American people to stand with us. And I think that they will. I think that they are. But we're definitely not going to let this slide, Laura. You can't do it. You've got to stop putting the interests of foreigners who don't have the right to be here over the interests of American citizens. That is the entire point and purpose of the Democratic Party. If you go back to the election of 2024, what was the big issue? The big issue was illegal immigration. They were actually defending the rights of illegal immigrants to come into our country, to vote in our elections, to collect Social Security and Medicaid that ought by right go to American citizens, to say nothing of housing. This is actually the biggest driver of housing costs in some of these big blue cities, is that they flooded the zone with illegal immigrants. As we've kicked illegal aliens out of our country, you actually see housing costs start to level off. So fundamentally, the difference between Republicans and Democrats is we care about American citizens. They actually don't like American citizens and want to replace them with low-wage foreigners. It's a very stark difference, and I think the American people are going to continue to reward us because of it.
All right.
Pause it. All right, or end it there. I just wanted to get to that housing piece because of how disgustingly cynical it is. When I say that clip is indicative of what this administration is about, that's what I mean. When he finally gets around to the cost of living, which Trump is making much worse right now, as we're about to discuss with Liz Pancotti, about how school supplies are already drastically increasing in price as Trump's tariffs begin to make their effects felt. They have no answer for the cost of living crisis except to demonize other people. They don't want to tax corporations.
The people who build housing.
To redistribute wealth to folks. They don't want to crack down on corporate landlords who are price fixing. They have nothing to address the cost of living crisis except to exacerbate it with the tariffs. But when they're addressed when they have to address something very real, oh, it's the immigrants. We're kicking them out to make your life better. That's not happening right now. It's actually getting a lot worse. And the housing crisis is no joke. There was a Harvard study in 2023 that found that over 22 million renters now spend over 30% of their income on rent and utilities. That's really the standard of like what's supposed to be affordable is if you spend 30%. That's half of all renters who are spending more than is supposed to be allowable for your budget, roughly. And that's kind of considered the affordability threshold. Half of all renters right now are exceeding their means just on housing and utilities. And there was data where you can just look at the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics showing that prices for folks' primary residences, they've tracked this, have increased since 2015 over a 10-year period by over 50%, outpacing inflation, which was around 31%. So it's out of control. And his answer is, well, we'll kick out all the immigrants. I mean, we're gonna see how this goes. Are rental prices going to start to go down across the country because of this? We know the answer. And when he's threatening also at the beginning of the clip, withholding federal highway funds from California if they assert their constitutional right to not comply with the federal government under the 10th Amendment. I mean, pointing out their hypocrisy yields nothing at this point, but God, the states' rights stuff, it's just so obvious how cynical and how quickly they abandoned that.
Yeah, I mean, those precedents need to be used next time the Democrats have power. But like, first of all, the setup shop for foreigners to do criminal murders is such a lie. Sanctuary laws are passed often with the support of police departments because it allows communities to, say, report violent folks and other problems to authorities without worrying about ICE coming and kicking them down the door and sending them to some country. And it's already the case that if there's someone who's a violent criminal, that local authorities aren't going to let them set up shop. No, they go in and arrest them. That's what they've been doing this entire time. But the housing crisis caused by some sort of like Biden era immigration influx. No, we haven't been building houses since 2008. This is very clear pattern that post the 2008 financial crisis, America has stopped building houses at the rate that it had for decades and decades and decades since then. And now and you know what? Who builds those houses is oftentimes immigrants, and who should just be. If you build houses in this country for American developers, you should just get citizenship and full labor protections. That's the way to deal with that. But it's not to kick people out who are actually going to be doing all the hard work. And like J.D. Vance, who's been a gopher for venture capitalists for his entire adult life.
Yeah, and he also was making claims that they're stealing our social services. This is another insanely false claim that they rely on. It's incredible how many lies are just in that one clip. Like, I honestly,
they're going to let them vote? It's like, no, we should let them seek asylum, which, by the way, Biden didn't even do. He revoked Title 42.
If you're an immigrant and you are, say, on a green card or you're working and you have a W-2, you are paying into our Social Security and Medicare system, and there's no guarantee if you don't get citizenship that you're going to get any of it. They are subsidizing our social services, not stealing from it. They are also taking jobs, J.D. Vance, that are often sub-minimum wage, exploitative, that Americans have more protections because of citizenship that they aren't often compelled to do, in the same way that like migrant children are when we get stories about them dying in meatpacking processing plants and that kind of thing. So it's just...
Donald Trump is literally a type of capitalist who uses undocumented immigrant labor to make bigger profits. He did it with Trump Tower. He used undocumented Polish workers who threatened to kill the guy who Trump had hired them because he started stiffing them on payments. Like that is literally the guy. He's the guy. It's not, we don't even have to be theoretical like, oh, capitalists like ICE because it does their work for them. Because what happened when they threatened Trump's foreman is Trump threatened, it wasn't ICE at that time, it was whatever the other border services was. But it was, get them in here, get them out, because they're not being compliant laborers. Trump is the guy.
Yeah. And I headlined this, but this was... The vacation wars are kind of a silly partisan fight that happens every administration, but it is a little jarring that J.D. Vance has taken more vacations than there have been months that he's been in power.
Where's he going?
I mean, it's like Iceland. They're all across the world. I mean, what'd you say?
Didn't he go to the Vatican?
Yeah. Oh, right. And then he killed the Pope, allegedly.
He's on missions.
Yeah. Yeah. So I just he was notoriously lazy as a senator and in his Senate run. He's just the kind of guy that wants to sit on his ass with a big pile of money.
Hollywood JD.
That is what gives me a little bit of hope if he's the standard bearer for MAGA going forward. Like, I don't know if he has the juice, and I don't think he has the work ethic.
They should all go on vacation for the next 3 years.
Oh, I hope those golf numbers for Donald Trump are just like through the roof here. In a moment, we're going to be talking to Liz Pancotti, but first, a word from some of our favorite sponsors, including HelloFresh. HelloFresh sends chef-crafted recipes and fresh ingredients right to your home. But this summer, they made their biggest menu upgrade yet. This isn't the HelloFresh you remember. It's bigger, healthier, and tastier than ever, and we want to thank HelloFresh for supporting the Majority Report. Get 10 free meals plus a free item for life at HelloFresh.com/majority10FM. So that's majority10FM. HelloFresh has doubled its menu, so now you have all of these new options. You can choose from over 100 options each week, including new seasonal dishes and recipes from around the world. Dig into bigger portions that will keep everybody satisfied. Feel great with an even healthier menu filled with high-protein and veggie-packed recipes. HelloFresh now helps you eat greener with new veggie-packed recipes that have 2 or more veggies. You get steak, seafood recipes delivered every week with no extra cost. There's 3 times more seafood on the menu now. Again, no extra cost. Discover new seasonal produce each week, from snap peas to stone fruit to corn on the cob and more. HelloFresh, especially, I've been really busy this year. It's just a game changer because it makes it so easy for you to not like order in. You can make it at home, but you don't have to work super hard when you're cooking yourself. They have it all laid out for you. So if you have a busy schedule, HelloFresh, I couldn't recommend it more highly. They have like a great pasta dish that's usually my go-to. The best way to cook just got better. Go to HelloFresh.com/majority10FM now to get 10 free meals and a free item for life. 1 per box with active subscription. Free meals applied as discount on the first box. New subscribers only. Varies by plan. That's HelloFresh.com/majority10FM to get 10 free meals and a free item for life. We will put a link down below wherever you're listening to or watching this. And lastly, another one of our favorites, Magic Spoon. Just yesterday, I had one of their high-protein, zero-sugar treats. But of course, they also have high-protein, zero-sugar cereal, reinvented from your childhood nostalgia. If you like a little bit of sweetness, you like some sweet, sugary cereal, but you're getting a little bit too old for that to just kind of burn away and it makes you feel like crap after all of that sugar, well, Magic Spoon is where you should turn. Every serving of Magic Spoon high-protein cereal has 13 grams of protein, 0 grams of sugar, and 4 grams of net carbs, and they come in nostalgic flavors like fruity, cocoa, and frosted. And Magic Spoon's high-protein treats are crispy, crunchy, airy, and an easy way to get 12 grams of protein on the go. They come in mouth-watering flavors like marshmallow, which is my favorite, chocolate peanut butter, and dark chocolate. Both are great on the go, pre or post-workout, and as a midnight snack. Get $5 off your next order at magicspoon.com/majority report, one word. Or look for Magic Spoon on Amazon or in your nearest grocery store. That's magicspoon.com/majority report for $5 off. magicspoon.com/majority report for $5 off. Again, link below in the description, wherever you're listening to or watching this. All right, quick break, and when we come back, we'll be joined by Liz Pancotti. We are back, and we are joined now once again by friend of the show, Elizabeth Pancotti, Managing Director of Policy and Advocacy at Groundwork Collaborative and former economic advisor to Senator Bernie Sanders. Liz, thanks so much for coming on the show.
Thanks so much for having me.
Of course. So you have the Groundwork Collaborative in collaboration with the Century Foundation put out this new analysis of how Trump's tariffs have raised the price of school supplies an average of 7.3% more this back to school season. That's a huge increase when you average it out. I mean, can you speak a little bit about how you all decided to kind of look into this and what were the major findings that stuck out to you?
Yeah, so the increase is more than double headline kind of overall inflation. It is almost on par with kind of the worst of headline inflation in that, 2020 2-3 period where we were hitting 9%. This is a big hike in costs on families. It's obviously not just school supplies. It's, consumer electronics and building materials and their utility bills and, their Nintendo Switches and PS5s, right? It's everything, but school supplies are not really an optional expense for families, especially at this time of year. It's pretty tough to send your kid to school without a backpack and a couple number 2 pencils, along with the rest of the school supply list. I don't have kids personally, but we asked a couple of our colleagues for their kids' school supply list, and they're lengthy. And it's not, frivolous items. I always had, the Hello Kitty erasers or whatever, but the basics of your kid needs to, be able to highlight the book they're reading or write in their notebook and have graph paper for math class, right? These are just kind of the basic expenses. And they're really not optional for families. And so we, had read a lot about prices increasing across the board. Walmart a couple months ago announced that they were really struggling to put off price hikes as a result of their tariffs. In fact, their earnings calls this morning, we were listening to them, and they said that every time they replenish inventory on a weekly basis, they are getting hit with more tariffs and having to hike more prices on the shelves. And so we've actually been taking a look at this a couple of times this year. We looked at, 4th of July, their firework prices were way up this year. We looked at Memorial Day. Charcoal grills are almost exclusively manufactured in China. And so fireworks are exclusively manufactured in China. There's no firework production facility in the United States. So we've done this kind of seasonally. And so this is back to school season. What we find is that school supply, like an average school supply list, a couple packs of pencils, markers, crayons, notebooks, whatever, is up 7.3%. But if you look at individual items, index cards, for example, are up by 40%. So within the individual items, crayons are actually the same price. And it's really funny. I was listening to Target's earnings call yesterday, and they said that they have kept the 50-cent box of crayons from last back to school season. Like they were bragging about that. So crayons are actually not up by very much, but everything else is. So I think kids might be writing with crayons instead of pencils this year, but it's really tough for families. And in addition to school supplies, we find that school lunchbox staples are up. And so over the course of the school year, families, like if you just take the prices right now, I mean, they are only going to get worse. Families will pay $160 more to pack their kids' lunches this year, at the same time that Trump is kicking millions of families off of their SNAP food stamp benefits.
Can you maybe help us trace some of the supply chain areas that lead us to this point? I mean, we all know that tariffs are raising prices across the board, but why, particularly index cards, or why some of these other more dramatic increases?
I actually haven't figured out why index cards are up. It's really bothering me because other paper products aren't up.
Oh, other paper products aren't. All right. Well, that's interesting. But
they are up, but index cards specifically are up really high. And so we're looking into it because it's annoying me personally.
Okay.
I think it might have to do with the paper cutter is my guess, because steel and aluminum tariffs are so high. And also when you manufacture, especially cut paper that is not like a standard letter size piece of paper. When you manufacture paper, you make big sheets of it. And so then you have to cut it into smaller pieces, and there are more standard sizes for that. Index cards can be less standard, like a sheet of notebook paper, a sheet of copy printer paper. There's obviously way more of that in the world than an index card. And so my guess is the cutter. I recently got engaged, and I'm looking at wedding invitation prices, and they are insane.
Congrats.
And thank you. But people keep telling me it's because of the cut. And I'm like, I don't get the markup, but that's my suspicion. But we are looking into it on index cards specifically. But other things like binders, which are primarily made of, plastic and metal. Those are things we make some of here, but are largely imported, either because their pieces are manufactured or created elsewhere, and then they're imported as materials, and then they are assembled here, or the entire product is, manufactured and assembled elsewhere. Some things are still made here. Ticonderoga wood #2 pencils are made in the United States, but there are large tariffs on the lumber that makes those pencils. And so even though they are made here, the lumber that we largely import from places like Canada or further away, that is not and is subject to the tariffs. And so it's been a mix of different things. But if you think about all of the materials that go into a backpack, we don't make backpacks here. We don't particularly look at apparel in this, just because the data we were using didn't have as good of data on it. But tariffs are hitting Nike, Adidas, the Children's Place, Carter's, Oshkosh, Target. These places are all hiking children's shoes, children's clothing.
Sorry, we put something on our soundboard. Go ahead.
They were really angry about kids' clothing prices, but we've noticed in the last few CPI prints that those have been up, and we've been hearing, manufacturers and producers say. So we did look at a couple of examples, but Nike and Adidas shoes are getting tariffed, and we expect, those to be passed through to consumers. And you can't really choose to get your kid a new pair of sneakers. That's not really a choice.
Yeah. And I mean, the nature of these supply chains, you hit on it a little bit, like even for products that are made in the U.S., without the say like Inflation Reduction Act being followed through on, or without building up our domestic capacity to make some of these things, we have to rely on imported goods because we just don't have the mechanism to create them right now. And that takes such a long period of time. Can you explain a little bit more about how those supply chains work as it relates to even goods that are as simple as a #2 pencil?
Yeah, I mean, a #2 pencil is a good example of, the wood is imported. We have some domestic sources of hard and softwood lumber, obviously, but it's not just wood. Like if you think of I wish I had one, but if you think of a #2 pencil, there's the wood, there's the lead that goes inside of it, there's the little metal thing that keeps the eraser on, and then there's the rubber eraser. So the wood is, processed, but it's mostly a raw material. The lead is, it has to be processed into that piece, and some, from being extracted. There's some kind of process there. The metal that holds the eraser on is usually aluminum, and so that requires processing. There are massive tariffs on aluminum right now, and the aluminum smelters in the U.S., as my colleague Alex actually worked on, and the NEC, we were opening the first aluminum smelter in the U.S. In decades, and they are delaying the project as a result of Trump's tariffs and rollbacks of various other policies. And then the eraser is rubber, which has to be manufactured through a variety of chemical processes and polymers and petroleum and whatnot. So it's a lot that goes into it. If you want an eraser, I guess you could simply pick up something else. But a crayon, the wax has to be dyed and melted and formed, and a piece of paper has to go around it. Backpacks are really interesting because they typically involve fabric, which we don't. There used to be, a lot of fabric and textile mills in places like North Carolina and Massachusetts. They were largely shipped overseas over the last 60 years. But zippers, there are very few zipper manufacturers in the United States. So even if you got domestically made fabric, there's usually plastic coatings on some backpacks, and then there are little components like zippers. And so it just really adds up. The other thing, say you're LL Bean, for example, and you really want to manufacture backpacks in the United States. They do make some products in the U.S., but say you are taking the president seriously. He says he wants a manufacturing renaissance. You say, okay, great, let's make backpacks up in Maine. Right now, to build a facility to make backpacks, you will face tariffs on industrial equipment, on the lumber and sheetrock and concrete to make the facility, on the steel and aluminum that goes into all the industrial equipment, on the fabric that you import, because we don't make a ton of fabric here, on the plastic coating that you import, on the zippers that you import. And so if you're LL Bean, you have to make 17 other factories to have your factory be U.S. made. And that's all while, one, all of those imports are tariffed, but also every other company is trying to diversify their supply chains. I mean, every earnings, I've listened to like 15 earnings calls this week because I'm a nerd, but every company is saying we're trying to diversify our supply chains, especially out of China or places where the tariffs are especially high. And they're all doing it at once. And so when everybody is on the phone with, a limited number of factories or raw material suppliers or processors around the world, it's just really difficult. I think that, nothing about this president's approach to a domestic manufacturing renaissance is actually going to spur one. He is bullying companies and trying to control them. I mean, Intel, for example, had a large incentive from the CHIPS Act. I actually worked on an amendment when I worked for Senator Sanders to add that, if the U.S. is going to give these chip companies $50 billion, the American taxpayer should kind of share in the upside of the profits that they make from those grants. I think that's still a good policy. It wasn't enacted ultimately. But Trump has instead gone to Intel, said he wants this golden share and to be able to bully them into doing everything. Ultimately, the issue is that the shareholders of Intel can decide if they're going to produce chips, which investors probably shouldn't control a critical supply chain, but neither should this president. I mean, he is just completely bullying companies. I'm not here to defend unfettered capitalism, but he is swinging the pendulum in the complete opposite way to extract things from these companies so that they come into the Oval Office and hand him gold bars and, hand him jets and all of this stuff. And that's not how we make more chips. That's just, or make backpacks in America or whatever it is. It's just how the president gets, bribes from his adversaries.
What are you seeing in terms of the infrastructure rollbacks that the administration is engaging in, trying to just kill anything that Biden passed? I mean, it's so nonsensical because it seems to me like the very folks that donated to Donald Trump or whatever, the Silicon Valley guys, would greatly benefit from a blank check, not a blank check, the billions of dollars, but with no requirement to give some of those returns back to the American public, because obviously, as you said, that wasn't included in the final legislation. It would make sense to me that they would want that, whether it's Peter Thiel or I mean,
we're doing it.
Right. So that was a benefit to them. What is the status of some of those rollbacks, or does Trump just want to control if one of his friends gets the kickback? Is that basically the end of it?
I think it all has to benefit him. I mean, he's just an egotistical guy. I think that he's very flattered when a CEO comes into the Oval Office and says, Mr. President, please come to our ribbon cutting. We're investing trillions of dollars. In fact, I think these CEOs have realized that if they just simply go in and charm him with a big number, he'll kind of either back off of them or say something nice about them. And so a lot of these commitments, so to speak, that CEOs or other countries are making are completely false. They are just trying to woo the president, and I guess more power to them. But the heartbreaking thing is that at the end of the day, that means that jobs are not going to be delivered in places like Ohio and Pennsylvania, where they've been hollowed out for decades. I mean, my favorite graph, I'm again a nerd, but there's an incredible graph of, if you look at during the Biden administration, if you look at corporate spending on manufacturing construction. So how much in our economy was being spent on building new manufacturing facilities. The line is it dips in some places, and then it literally does this during the Biden administration. I mean, it's actually an incredible graph of how effective this industrial policy scheme was, between combination of the American Rescue Plan, the Bipartisan Infrastructure Law, the CHIPS and Science Act, and the Inflation Reduction Act. So all of those things, plus a combination of tariff policies and other policies that the administration was doing, it worked. We were building things in America, and we were going to make things in America. And so quickly, with strokes of a couple of strokes of a pen, Trump has completely reversed that between the tariffs driving up building costs for these facilities. I mean, I think that's the other thing of, if taxpayer dollars are funding these facilities, wouldn't you want them to be built in the most efficient way? But instead, we're paying a bunch of tariffs back to the federal government, right? It doesn't totally make sense.
Right. And also, this is an example of how you do an onshoring domestic manufacturing policy, because Biden was somebody who used tariffs strategically, as opposed to using some formula that was came up with like by Peter Navarro or whatever. That is really just about what you say. The CEO is coming to the Oval Office. Like, if you could just say, talk a little bit more about how tariffs can be used strategically for things like domestic onshoring.
You know, we had this during the Biden administration. They rolled out a suite of tariff policies that said, look, there's a couple different things. One, we want fair trade, not free trade. So where other countries are using unfair tactics like forced labor or excessive, emissions or unfair tax policies or unfair subsidies or whatever that are undercutting American jobs and also just the general labor and human welfare that we would like to see around the world in manufacturing processes. Like, we are going to tariff those things to discourage the purchase of them. And at the same time, it was really a twofold thing. It was strategic. It was not broad-based. They were not on, it was not 15 to 50% tariffs on every country in the world or an island of penguins, right? It was strategic tariffs on particular product lines. And in part, there were tariffs that were put on certain products that we were trying to create domestic supply of. Like, we were trying to stand those facilities up and say, look, you will have a customer base to these domestic manufacturers. You will have a customer base for these things. People will buy the American-made version of these things, and you can scale them so that they are price competitive with other fairly traded goods. Like, it's basically like an incubation period, right? It just says, like, while you're getting started, we're going to make it a little bit easier for you, which makes sense. That is, there are lots of preferences.
It's giving American companies a leg up, basically, which is what Trump pretends he's doing. Yeah.
It's not even a leg up. It's just a level playing field of like, all right, can you give us 5 years to build the fab and make the chip and like get it out, right? It's just to scale it. It's, I don't know, I don't want to like shill for the pharmaceutical companies, but like in part, this is why there are, I think how far it's gone is unreasonable, but this is why we have patent protections, right? It says, okay, you've innovated, you've put the money into a new drug. We'll give you the patent for a reasonable period of time so that you can recuperate that money. And then it makes it worth it for you to do it. Obviously that gets out of hand.
And they don't cut corners. It incentivizes them to basically create a better product. And right.
And they know that at the end of the day, somebody's going to buy the solar panels or the chips or the steel or the windmill turbines or whatever they're making. And so I think the beauty of, Bidenomics is that we were taking strategic tariffs plus industrial policy. So it was incentives to build and incentives to buy on the consumer side, both industrial consumers and, typical me and you. If we want to put a solar panel on our apartment, or if, Samsung wants to buy 1 million solar panels to put on top of a factory, there were incentives on both sides for, utility scale projects and residential projects for clean energy. And this wasn't just clean energy. I mean, this was a lot of supply chains. Now it is so expensive to build and make things here as a result of the tariffs. And I think the bigger story here is actually the consumers don't want to buy anything because they think the economy is about to be in the tank, or it already is, and they're terrified. I mean, we have seen so much pullback in spending. People are not going on vacation. They are holding off on buying a new car. I mean, I was listening to earnings calls for an air conditioning company, and they were saying that they are seeing so many more repairs, order for parts, because people are duct taping their air conditioners back together rather than buy a new one because they're so scared to make a $5,000, $10,000 expense right now. They need that money in the bank in case something bad happens. I mean, people are terrified of losing their jobs. They are terrified of having, an emergency expense because they just see the writing on the walls of this economy.
And it's only going to get worse from here, right? So, I mean, can you just, as we wrap up here, Liz, tell us a little bit about what's coming? We know that Christmas is and the holiday season is going to be difficult given the fact that so many toys are manufactured in China, overseas. What is coming down the road in the next few months as we wrap up the year?
I think as we get, Halloween costumes, more than 90% are manufactured in China. If you're Spirit Halloween, you open for 1 month out of the year, right? Or if you're Amazon and you order, inventory of Halloween costumes. That stuff sells for 1 month out of the year. Nobody's buying a Dorothy and Toto costume in February. And so you don't import these things until 3 to 5 months before this is the spoiler alert of my Halloween costume, but you don't import those things in advance. A little bit, 3 to 5 months before they go on shelves or they're available online, you buy them, you put them in a warehouse, and then you sell them. And the issue of when especially the China tariffs, but really all of the tariffs went into effect and they were on and off, and the chaos of it meant that many companies just stopped buying things. We saw port volumes decline by massive amounts. I mean, people were just sitting on their hands saying, we can get away with the inventory we have on hand, and then hopefully the tariffs won't be in place when we need to deal with it. And so nobody's stocked up. I mean, Target and Walmart buy Christmas stock 6 to 8 months in advance so that it's here when people want to buy it on Black Friday or the night before Christmas, right? They haven't done that. There are toy companies that are saying, we are not bringing new toys to the US because we cannot price them competitively and because we missed the window for importing them. And so when Donald Trump told little girls in this country that you get one doll instead of 5 dolls, he meant it, because there will not be 5 dolls for parents to buy on the shelves this Christmas. And if you're looking for the latest Miss Rachel or Bluey toy, it's not going to be on your Target shelves this winter. And if you're looking for, the latest Halloween costume at Spirit Halloween or the newest bag of chocolate candy or whatever, I really think we're going to have shortages, and what is on the shelves is going to be more expensive.
Well, as always, Liz what'd you say?
Cheery note to end on.
Cheery note, but you seriously, you're brilliant. I always appreciate you coming on and breaking this stuff down. Thank you so much. And, from one nerd to another, never apologize for enjoying a graph or two.
I'll bring graphs next time for.
Okay, great. You can check out Elizabeth Pancotti's great work over at the Groundwork Collaborative. Thanks so much for your time today. Really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks. All right, quick break, folks. And when we come back, we're going to be talking to Graham Platner, Senate candidate in Maine. We are back, and we are joined now by Graham Platner, Democratic candidate for U.S. Senate in Maine, hoping to take on Susan Collins in the general election in 2026. Graham, thanks so much for coming on the show.
Thank you very much for having me.
You are not apparently just a listener to the Majority Report. You previously called in, which is amazing. So this is...
in fact, what's very funny is that it was a couple of years ago now. And I would call in some days when I was out on the oyster farm. And the one day that I actually made it through, a thunderstorm hit in the exact same moment. And so I was trying to talk to Sam while the quality was just horrific. And it was. I was like, of course, this is the moment. This is the moment.
I'm
this
sure
quality is significantly better, so that's good.
That's good. That's good. I mean, we have the power of video calls now and Wi-Fi. I really appreciate you coming on today. I'll start off with another kind of cheeky question here. Can you promise us that you will not be another John Fetterman?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, great.
I saw a tweet yesterday that said, Graham Platner's God apologizing for John Fetterman, which I got a very hearty chuckle out of.
Well, I mean, for starters, you are unambiguous in your condemnation of Israel's genocide in Gaza. You use that term. You are a veteran. You served 4 tours in Iraq and Afghanistan. Can you speak a little bit about your service, how it affected your perspective on the current genocide in Gaza, and of course, America's role in the Middle East?
Yeah, I mean, in many ways, it's a story of disillusionment. I certainly joined the Marine Corps, even though I had a lot of reservations about the war in Iraq. I still felt that there was going to be a goodness and something we could do, and it was hard for me to believe that after a while. It also really began to make me question kind of the structures of American foreign policy. I began to, we never seemed to be living up to the things we were claiming to do, the tactics and the strategies that I would see deployment after deployment after deployment, never really matched up with these kind of grandiose claims. And there was a point where I just began to wonder, well, if we're not doing what we say we're doing, what are we doing? And it became fairly clear that what we were doing was transferring an immense amount of taxpayer wealth into the pockets of a fair amount of very wealthy defense contractors, all on the backs of the young men and women we sent overseas to suffer and die, and on the backs of the untold amount of civilians in the countries that we conducted these operations in.
Go ahead if you want to expand on that. I mean, I think it's.
I mean, that's pretty much the core of it. I at this point, I've just become deeply critical of the American foreign policy establishment, and the behavior that continues to happen reflects that same criticism. We have not begun to learn. We continue to do these utterly horrific, and in my way of thinking, completely, this does nothing for Americans. None of this stuff benefits working class Americans. Nothing in Sullivan, Maine improved because of the wars in Iraq or Afghanistan. Nothing in Sullivan, Maine is going to improve because of our funding of a genocide. It has nothing to do with these things. And that is not where we should be spending our money, both morally, but also just as a nation.
It's a very simple answer, I think, for folks to get behind. And this is really broadly the consensus when you also cross partisan lines. I know Maine has a really independent streak. Of course, you have Senator Angus King, who is an independent but caucuses with the Democrats. And then you have, of course, Susan Collins, who is running again, obviously. But I just am flummoxed as to how she has hung on for this long. In 2020, she won re-election by 8 points. And Biden won that race. Yep. And what is your view on the failures of the Democratic Party in your state of Maine to come up with a candidate that can challenge somebody who should be quite vulnerable in many of these races?
Well, look, I'll just be upfront. I don't even think it's this Democratic Party in the state of Maine. I think it's the Democratic Party nationally. Right. Like the 2020 race, Sarah Gideon, who had served many years in the Maine legislature, was a good legislator, and but was anointed by the party in D.C. and there really wasn't much of a process of finding anyone else. They just decided that she was the best candidate, and then they ran a kind of standard campaign. The field operations were not a big part of it. It was I think they raised $60 million in that race, and far more than Susan Collins needed to spend. And they just blew it on mail. I mean, there was a joke back then where we don't have to even get firewood this year. We're all just saving up the mailers. We're just gonna burn them with the wood stuff. So it was ridiculous. And both the fact that I don't think she could appeal across this kind of more independent streak. I think she drove out the Democratic base, but that was it. And then it was a campaign that was, for the record, my understanding is not their fault at all. It was driven by the national level, and it was just focused on kind of standard campaigning. And so I think Collins has held on. One, because back then there was still a little bit of that myth, even though we were seeing the truth, that the myth still held on. The myth doesn't hold on now. I mean, that's gone. I know Republicans who are my neighbors who are like, Susan Collins has got to go. She's clearly just full of it. So like, it's not even working with her constituent or her base. Right. Certainly not working with Democrats. But I fear that and the reason I've jumped into this race, quite frankly, is that I fear that there is some idea floating around of doing the exact same thing as 2020, having an establishment candidate that comes out of the political machine, chosen in many ways by DC, campaigning in the same way that these campaigns have all failed in the past. And Susan Collins is uniquely weak right now, and yet there might be the ability to choose a uniquely bad candidate for this specific race. And I don't think I'm that candidate. I think I'm a good candidate. I think I can appeal across the divide. I live in a small town. In many ways, this is not I didn't set out to do this. I was approached to do it, and I'm not doing it because somebody asked me to, but it wasn't my idea. I hadn't thought of it. And when it came up, I was like, it really does seem like there's an opportunity here to build a kind of politics again that comes out of the legacies of organized labor, comes out of the legacies of the civil rights movement, to build movement politics. Yep. And to run campaigns focused on field organizing, building connection across community organizations and labor organizations and political organizations. The only way that we are going to be able to survive the rise of fascism in America is to build a robust working class politics again. And I feel like that is a thing that we here in Maine are currently uniquely suited to do. And I'm really excited to get that ball rolling. Well, it already has, I guess. But
it's very exciting.
Days have been pretty wild, so.
I mean, I know that you have some progressive folks who are on your campaign working. Morris Katz joined from the Zoran campaign to help with your race, as well as Joe Calvello, who was on Bernie Sanders' campaign and then on Fetterman's staff, but resigned, as many did, given his turn. So you have like some progressive organizers who understand this kind of thing behind you. Did you feel compelled to kind of get out ahead of some of the rumblings about 77-year-old Governor Janet Mills running in the race? I don't know if she's going to do it, but like you're the first candidate really to declare, and it gives you kind of a bit of a head start, it seems.
I'll just be upfront. We didn't launch when we did because of that. We launched when we did because we had put the groundwork in to build a launch day that we could get. So and I'm not doing this to keep other people out of the race. I mean, I firmly believe in a healthy primary process, which I wish certain elements of our political establishment still did.
Exactly.
I think a primary process is good. It allows voters to engage with candidates and with issues, and it can really narrow down what people really want. I also think in many ways it's how we exercise the muscle that we're going to need to fight in the general. So I think there's an element of that too. It's kind of you got to hone your skills, and you can do that in a primary. But we launched this the way we want to because we could. Because we had done the work to make it happen. We're not on somebody else's timeline. We're not asking anybody permission. We put together what we thought was going to be an effective start, and it far surpassed my expectations. So I'm feeling quite good about that. But yeah, I don't. We didn't do this because of any other external input. We did this because it was our internal plan.
The write-up of you in Politico talks about how you reject the term kind of liberal. You're more of like a populist Democrat or a progressive Democrat. Like, how would you characterize your politics for folks. And I'm thrilled to see people reject liberalism towards leftism. That's very exciting to me, and I like that that was even included. How would you describe your ideology overall?
I mean, at its core, it's a working class ideology that is built in movement politics. So I take my inspirations from the labor movement. I take my inspirations from the civil rights movement. American history is not a history of working people asking permission to get things from those in power. Every good thing that we have gotten, quite frankly, for working people in this country does not come from writing a strongly worded letter to someone in power and then they just give it to you. We need to build power. We need to build organizational power, both in communities and workplaces. We need to build a much deeper structure of power through our political apparatus in a way that we can leverage it far after campaigns come and go.
Yep.
The core of my politics is Jane McAlevey. I heard her on this show. I read her books. I took Organizing for Power because my background here is a community organizer. It's not in electoral politics. It was in her kind of critique of this the inability for much of modern American liberal politics to have a theory of power, and I believe that. I firmly believe that power. There is no strata in our society that is made to hold power. Power exists and can be taken and utilized by those who are willing to build the mechanisms necessary to do it. A lot of money means it's pretty easy to have power in the system that we have, but that can be fought against with a lot of people. But that's where the work happens, and that's the hard part. I mean, it's easy to raise a bunch of money and just go pay some consultant to like drum up some lobbying thing for you. It's a lot harder to organize your community. But if we are going to build a working class politics in this country that is based on actually building power and using it to get what we need, and to frankly claw back a lot of resources from those who have used horrific policy for the past 40 years at a minimum to steal it from us, that's what we need to do. So I have to throw out Jane's name because we are diminished. I think in this moment, she would be a incredible force of nature to have with us. At least we are lucky enough that she could pass that all down.
Absolutely, and people should read her books as well. That's totally she's inspirational to me as well, and to so many other people. Rest in power, Jane. Then, let's talk a little bit about your platform. I mean, your website kicks off with a critique of billionaires and how our government is bought and paid for by billionaires. I mean, how I should have known that you're MR listeners that you have postal banking on your platform, which
that is correct.
I texted Sam about this already. He's on vacation, but he's very excited.
I wasn't sad to hear that I was coming on Thursday because I'm a majority supporter. So,
yes.
But I was like, at some point I'm gonna have to talk to Sam because I think postal banking is a spectacular program that we really need to invest in. But it's honestly, but to be just upfront, that stuff. While those are policies I'm going to press, the real things are going to be healthcare and housing and ending foreign wars. I mean, that's like those are
Medicare for all.
Medicare for all.
Yeah,
100%. Yeah, I mean, I'm an automatic yes vote for Medicare for all. Yes. I also think that we need to come up with housing solutions that aren't merely going to take like taxpayer dollars, put them into some developer's bank account, and let them build rental units to like bleed people like monthly. We need to build more housing, but we also need to couple it with programs that are going to support Americans getting into homes that they own at the point in their lives where they want to own a home. And VA home loans are a thing that a lot of friends of mine got to buy houses at a point where if they hadn't been veterans and didn't have access to that, they wouldn't have been able to. But we need to look at all these things like very structurally, because there are pitfalls in doing some of this stuff and say allowing large corporate landlord companies to still exist because they'll figure out ways to leverage policy to benefit themselves. But that's, for me, that's the crux of all this. If people can't get health care, people can't put roofs over their heads, and all that money is going out the door to fund a genocide. That's what needs to stop first. And for me, that's the real core, the core of the message, because that's how people are interacting with this right now. In Eastern Maine, our healthcare system is collapsing, and the Medicaid and Medicare cuts have not even come down the pike yet. So.
Yeah. I mean, the rural hospital closures are definitely going to impact, I would imagine, Maine. And you're, as somebody who works outside, as an oyster farmer, you also have a focus on the environment and our climate. How do you plan to meld the working class forward politics that you describe with a climate agenda that supports those workers, but also moves us forward in terms of trying to curb the worst effects of climate change?
Yeah, I mean, at some point I'm going to want to talk to Matt and David about this, because I listen to this discussion a lot on Left Reckoning.
Love this interview. I mean,
the climate. I mean, look, I'm an oyster farmer. The Gulf of Maine is one of the second fastest warming bodies of water on Earth, and we rely on it for a lot of our industry here, both aquaculture, but more so commercial fishing, lobstering. And so protecting it, making sure that we have a sea that we can rely on for a long time to come is paramount to me. But I also want to make sure that whatever the solutions we start to look for, they do not saddle working people with both the debt and, frankly, the guilt. I always will find it amusing that everybody's supposed to feel bad about drinking out of a straw when ExxonMobil still exists. So we need to look into these solutions in ways that are going to make the people and the industries and the corporations that made the problems are the ones that have to foot the bill. It's all going to be very expensive. It all is going to take an immense amount of investment and resources. That should not be on the backs of working people here in the United States or elsewhere, for that matter. They're not the people that broke it. And when we look at these solutions, to me, that needs to be forefront in our minds when we try to come up with policies on how to fix this stuff.
Yeah, and your website, it's very detailed, which is something I really love, and I can see some of the Zoran influence there, where there's no talking down to folks. You explain exactly where you stand on a variety of different issues. People should go to your site and they can check out exactly what your agenda is. How can people help support your campaign? I would imagine that you're only taking small dollar contributions, so of course that's a way to help. But tell us a little bit about your campaign contributions and how people can help you out. Obviously, your website is gramforsenate.com. People can go there, but in your own words, what would be most helpful?
Of course, I mean, yeah, small dollar donations. We're not taking corporate PAC money. I mean, clearly.
Yeah. It seemed self-evident. Yeah.
And so for that, we're definitely relying. So any little bit that people can pitch in, it means a lot. And that being said, though, on top of that, we want to build a real campaign here. Not a campaign of just raising money and spending it on consultants to buy a bunch of stupid TV ads that were modeled after the 1980s. We need people to phone bank. We need people who have any connections with Maine to get your neighbors involved. Go on the website, fill out the volunteer forms. The more volunteers we get, the more we can really start building out the apparatus of a true movement. I mean, this is all very weird for me, and I'm just going to be upfront about this. I have dreamed for years of seeing movement politics return to this country. And for some weird accident of history, I find myself here being the voice for it. And it's not a thing I set out to do. A month ago, I thought servicing a couple moorings around Frenchman's Bay was the height of my stress. So it's all very odd. But I believe in this. I deeply believe that this is the only way forward. And so I want people to come into this and get involved as being part of a larger movement, just like Bernie showed us the way. I mean, Bernie really, for me, is not just an inspiration in policy and politics, but as an inspiration in thinking about this stuff as a movement. It needs to be a movement. And the only way that we get to do any of this, the only way we get to actually go down, if I go to, when I win and when I go to DC, my vote is not going to get us Medicare for all. We need to have a deeper apparatus. We need to have a deeper movement that can put pressure on legislators around the country to make this stuff happen. And I want to bring people in to do that. So if that sounds like something you might be interested in getting involved in, which I hope a lot of listeners to MR would be those folks, it's certainly why I am. It would mean a hell of a lot to me if you could go to the website and sign up, and also donate, of course. But
well, Space Lennon writes in, just donated, left is best. So we're getting the word out. Really appreciate your time today, Graham. And of course, we're going to be tracking your race for quite a while. We will put a link to your site down below where people can find all of these links. But it's also just Graham for Senate, for spelled not the number way, the correct way, grahamforsenate.com. Thanks so much for coming on the show, Graham.
Thank you very much. And just keep up the good work. What you guys do is why this is happening. So be very proud.
I don't know about that, but really appreciate what you're doing. Thanks so much.
Thanks a lot.
All right, folks, with that, we're going to wrap up the free part of this program. I had high hopes for that interview, and it exceeded it. I mean, Brian.
I'm so fucking, excuse me. I'm so pumped right now.
Brian grew up in Maine. I mean,
I'm from Westbrook, Maine, and I have never been more proud of somebody coming out of my state. That's so exciing.
It's really
cool. We're going to spread this interview to my family, and then they're going to spread it.
Yes. Love it. So if you would like to support this show, you can go to jointhemajority.report.com. But, I mean, and become a member. But maybe today we'll plug Graham, and if you have $5, maybe for Graham, you can become a Majority Report member another day. And when you do, you can IM the show. You get access to the fun half. You get access to the podcast free of commercials. So we don't have to rely on Peter Thiel money. And we have Brandon here in just a second. So join themajority.report.com. Whoa. Hey, wrong mic.
Yeah, they got the wrong mic.
You're on the AirPods.
Oh, hello.
There. Very nice. Is that a Gargoyles poster new?
No, it's the same one.
Oh, okay. It's the same one. Oh, God. I'm sorry. How could I forget? How are you doing, Brandon? What's happening on the discourse?
I'm doing well. A lot of things are happening on the discourse. I took last week off to visit, as I said, the wonderful Sultanate of Londonistan. And this week we're back to our normal schedule. So it's a great time to go and join the YouTube channel, The Discourse with Brandon Sutton, or the Twitch channel if you prefer. Tomorrow I think will be, I don't know. There's so many elements of occult lore that I just feel go under-examined in our media. So I don't know, Mothman. We'll do something about Mothman tomorrow. A Chupacabra day.
Is that the Richard Gere one?
I don't know if Richard Gere is in
prophecies?
that. We talk about the Mothman prophecies a lot when I'm on, so maybe we'll just let it go this.
We should start a Mothman prophecies podcast.
You should.
Yeah, it is Richard Gere, 2002. I love that movie.
I love how niche these podcast ideas keep getting. All right, check out the discourse and say hello now to Matt Binder. Matt Binder, what's happening on your end?
Hey, how are you? A lot. Earlier this week, I'm going to be writing about it in depth in my newsletter at disruptionist.com. But earlier this week, I had uncovered an interesting new person who was working for the Andrew Cuomo campaign. And I'm sure you saw this unfurl online on social media.
That was you that broke that?
The Levin
Well,
kid?
I found a lot of the stuff that he had posted.
Very cool.
And
Wow.
I had saw him. I was familiar with that guy because I follow a lot of these like tech startup guys. And this guy got on my radar like a year or two ago. And a couple of days ago, even before like he said that Cuomo was, he was working with Cuomo, I had noticed that Cuomo's account was replying to a lot of other X accounts that were affiliated with his company, Meme Lord Technologies, because you know how Twitter has that thing where you pay like $1,000 and you could put your little company logo next to other accounts and give them like a blue check.
Right.
So I noticed that and I was like, well, that's weird. And I noticed like a lot of his replies sounded like AI generated like slop. Like he was just like replying with like laughing emojis or just reiterating exactly what the person was saying. Someone would say, like one of the accounts would say like, isn't that weird? And Andrew Cuomo would reply like, it is weird, isn't it? And it's like, he replies to no one on there. Why is he replying to all these same accounts? So that they got it on my radar, but then he, what was it? A day or two ago, it came out and said he's working with Cuomo. And I had all these tweets of his ready to go because I knew this guy was a Trump supporter, like a hardcore Trump supporter. But yeah, I thought it was funny to see it happen and how quickly Cuomo tried to downplay it all. And the guy is having the greatest meltdown I've ever seen, where he's literally posting photos of himself with a Hitler mustache, like that he added. Like that's his reaction to getting kicked off the Cuomo campaign.
I mean, I guess the reason being because is he Jewish and people are calling him a Nazi, and it's like actually this contradiction isn't so mystifying to people.
Yeah. The most powerful Nazi in the country is Jewish.
Stephen
Miller, who we will play in the fun half, his little whiny freak out at Union Station. Well, great work there, Binder, uncovering that.
Binder, is the thing about his mom paying for his food and rent through Venmo for years and years at the same time that he had on his LinkedIn that he dropped out of school because his e-commerce business was doing so well? Like, is that real or is that just something I want to believe?
So the Venmo stuff is real, but I'm not sure. I couldn't really find out if that was his mom, but it does sort of add up. I mean, he was getting money from somebody. I just couldn't tell.
Food and rent in July.
Yeah. I mean, could it have been a roommate? Maybe, I guess. But I mean, I
Matt Gaetz.
Yeah.
One of Matt Gaetz' friends.
What was telling to me was he wasn't replying to any of the people sharing that. Like if it was a roommate, you would just be like, oh, that was my roommate. But if it's your mom, you're just going to ignore it and hope it goes away, right? I mean,
that's hilarious. All right. Well, we'll continue our Cuomo bashing potentially in the fun half, where we will take your calls and read your IMs. See you on the other side.
And I am in it to win it.
Yeah, fun half.
Okay, Emma, please.
Well, I feel that my voice is sorely lacking on the majority report.
Wait, look, Sam is unpopular.
I do deserve a vacation at Disney World. So, ladies and gentlemen, it is my pleasure to welcome Emma to the show.
It is Thursday.
Yeah, I think you need to take over for Sam.
Yes, please.
No. I'm gonna pause you right there.
Wait, what?
You can't encourage Emma to live like this. And I'll tell you why. So was offered to tour, sushi, and poker with the boys. Tour, sushi, and poker with the boys. So was offered to tour, sushi, and poker with the boys. What? Tour, sushi, and poker.
Tim's upset.
Tour, sushi, and poker with the boys. So was offered to tour, sushi, and
that's what we call the biz.
Tour, sushi, and poker with the boys.
Right.
Tour, sushi, and poker.
We're gonna get demonetized.
I just think that what you did to Tim Pool was mean.
Free speech.
That's not what we're about here. Look at how sad he's become now. You shouldn't even talk about it. I think you're responsible.
I probably am in a certain way, but let's get to the meltdown here.
Tour, sushi, and poker with the boys.
Oh
my God. Tour?
Wow.
Sushi. I'm sorry, I'm losing my fucking mind. So was offered a tour? Yeah. Sushi and poker with the boys.
Logic.
Tour? Sushi and poker with the boys. Boy. Tour? I think I'm like a little kid. I think I'm like a little kid. I think I'm like a kid. Tour? I think I'm like a little kid. I think I'm like a little kid. Had this debate 7,000 times. A little kid. I think I'm like a little kid. I think I'm like a kid. Tour? I'm losing my fucking mind.
Some people just don't understand.
So I'm not trying to be a dick right now, but like, I absolutely think the U.S. should be providing me with a wife and kids.
That's not what we're talking about here. Okay, all right.
It's not a fun job. Tour?
That's a real thing. That's a real thing. Real thing.
Willy Wonka tour?
That's a real thing. That's a real thing. Real thing.
What's that offered a tour?
That's a real thing. That's a real thing. Real thing. That's a real thing. That's a real thing. Real thing.
What's that offered a tour?
Ladies and gentlemen, Joe Rogan has done it again.
That offered a tour?
That's a real thing. That's a
poker with the boys.
I think he might be blowing it out of proportion.
real thing.
That's poker with the boys. That offered a tour?
That's a real thing. That's
poker.
Let's go, Joe.
Tour? Sushi and poker with the boys.
Take it easy, Dan.
Tour? Sushi and poker.
Things have really gotten out of hand.
Sushi and poker with the boys.
Delusional.
Tour?
Deluded.
Sushi.
You don't have a clue as to what's going on. Live YouTube.
Sam has like the weight of the world on his shoulders.
Poggers.
Sam doesn't want to do this show anymore.
Do it anymore.
It was so much easier when the majority report was just you. You were happy.
Let's change the subject.
Rangers and Knicks are doing great.
Now shut up. You don't want people saying reckless things on your program.
That's
Now,
one of the most difficult parts about this show.
this is a pro-killing podcast.
I'm thinking maybe it's time we bury the hatchet.
Left is best. Trump Violet.
Tour?
Don't be foolish and don't fucking tweet at me and don't bitch. The way Emma has cucked all of these people, love it.
That's where my heart is. So I wrote my honors thesis about it.
Oh,
Sorry.
she wrote an honest thesis. I guess I should hand the main mic to you now.
You are to the right of me on foreign policy.
We already fund Israel, dude. Are you against that?
That's a tougher question I don't have an answer to.
Incredible theme song.
Hi, Bumbler.
Emma Vigeland, absolutely one of my favorite people. Actually, not just in the game, like period.
One.
We are back, folks. It is the fun half of the show. Draw Nathan says, has anybody found the hidden Thanos I snuck into the Amajority animation? No, I haven't.
There's a hidden Thanos?
I'll check it out. I'm usually running around in the break, so I don't really look at it very much. But thank you very much, Draw Nathan, for that animation.
I didn't even know there was a hidden Thanos to be looking for.
Well, that's why it's so hidden. KDO just hit Graham with some cash. Best of luck. Mike Droomy, great interview with Graham, just donated as well. Awesome stuff. The Mad Mailman just donated to Graham. I love these interviews with these candidates. They really breathe life back into me with everything that's going on. I mean, especially with a guy that says that he is running with like the intellectual kind of history of Jane McAlevey behind him. I mean, that's like real legit politics here. Very exciting candidate in Maine, I think. CQD Demge says, first time I've ever listened to this show from New York City. All right.
Jeff Bezos came, Bill Gates came, Mark Zuckerberg came. Many of them came numerous times. The bankers have all come. Everybody's coming.
No, all I can say is you're welcome. You're welcome. You're welcome for listening.
Yes, exactly. El Conipcion, are we doing Ben Shapiro on Bill Burr today? Eyes emoji.
Okay.
I don't know. Theo Bonk says, Brian, I was just driving around Westbrook doing deliveries while listening to this interview at full volume with the windows down.
Oh, I heard it's really crime-ridden there. You should put that window up.
Speaking of crime, so which one do you think we should start with? 2 and then go 1? What's the order here? Yeah. I mean, we'll do 2, 3, then.
Yeah, because that's them walking into where this conference
Yeah,
was.
2, 1, then 3.
Yeah.
Okay. So JD Vance was heckled at Union Station yesterday. He was walking in there to visit the brave National Guardsmen who are protecting the Shake Shack
The
from
Shake
a
Shack
homeless
has been taken
person.
back from Hamas.
Sir, we have secured the Union Station Shake Shack. By the way, great Shake Shack.
I mean,
I used to go to DC all the time, and I would always stop at that Shake Shack.
Taking your life into your hands, going to that Shake Shack. You've got that 15-minute wait. You might be mugged like several times in that.
Obviously, I wore a bulletproof vest throughout the Shake Shack train station experience, but it's a little nice to see these fascists get booed. Here he is walking in with the Nazi Stephen Miller and getting not so warm of a welcome in DC's Union Station.
Oh, look! It's Couch Fucker! You gonna fucking couch buddy?
Pause it for a sec. Did you hear that?
I wasn't ready for that.
Couch fucker.
I thought we were gonna hear like boo or something like
right out the gate.
I mean, he's just asking questions. He's just asking questions about JD Vance, our most upholstery obsessed vice president to date.
It's journalism, basically.
Citizen journalism.
Yeah.
Look! It's Couch Fucker! You gonna fucking couch buddy?
Right here. Do not go past
there was did one of the hecklers say like, you gonna fuck a couch, buddy? It was very Tim Robinson. Buddy, you sure you're gonna do that?
You gonna
fuck a couch? So that's pretty good. But while they were there, are they in a secure location after this?
In the green zone.
Okay, good. They held a little press conference. Stephen Miller decided to get in front of a camera. Ugh, this is not really what I would advise. But here he is speaking about how he's protecting black people.
Oh.
They have no families they're raising in this city. They have no one that they're sending to school in this city. They have no jobs in this city. They have no connections.
Pause it just to explain. Sorry. He's talking about the protesters outside that were mocking them.
This is clear reversal of the reality. Like, the truth is, this is all a performance for people who don't live anywhere near any of these cities and are hysterical about the images they get about crime that, support the National Guard. The actual residents of these cities, and we all live in one. Well, not Brandon now, but like, they're gonna try the same stuff here, and it's just ludicrous.
Yeah.
As a black, I had to escape the undealt with crime epidemic of DC. But you're exactly right, Matt. This is all theater for like people who are afraid to like leave their like subdivision. Or like the nearest strip mall where like the Target, Walmart, and like Buffalo Wild Wings trifecta is located.
Yeah, you get off the wrong exit and all of a sudden you feel like you need to call the National Guard.
You're downtown. You don't want to be downtown.
Downtown.
They have no families they're raising in this city. They have no one that they're sending to school in this city. They have no jobs in this city. They have no connections to this community at all. But they're the ones who've been advocating for the 1%, the criminals, the killers, the rapists, the drug dealers. And I'm glad they're here today. Because me, Pete, and the
who's the 1%? It's
who are we talking? Who are we talking about again? Is this about Trump? I don't know. Like, the protesters. Like,
he's using 1%er like Hell's Angels do. Hell's Angel 1%er is somebody who's killed somebody.
Yeah, I think we mean something else by 1% in this country in 2000. Post 2008, really.
But isn't it very poetic that his 1% has nothing to do with income and wealth inequality? And it's about demonizing people.
The Nazi is displacing blame for the capitalists at the top of society onto an other. That is shocking.
Yeah.
I just feel like if I were already being accused of being like a sinister, like shadow president in like the cabinet, I wouldn't give a whole press conference ensconced in like darkness the way he seems to be doing here.
But he loves it. He loves it. Like, he's the guy who likes being evil. Like, he loves that people like know this about him and believe this about him. This is someone who feeds off that. This isn't a guy who's like trying to hide it.
Well, that's because the only option for guys like this is like either they're evil or a loser, and that's like half of the appeal of being evil for like the Republican right like figures. Like, well, if they weren't evil, they would just be like losers. They would just be like the principal from the '80s movie who hates fun. That's what they are actually, but they would rather be like just an outright fascist than to just be like not cool. That's gives them cool.
It gives them an excuse as to why people don't like them. Like if they weren't evil, people wouldn't like them because of who they are, their personality, what they were into, what they weren't into, just being losers.
And inspired by them, we're going to add thousands more
Matt,
resources.
that's playing. Sorry.
No, it's all right. But being that they are doing something evil, then they could just say, oh, people just don't like me because of what I'm doing. Or certain people don't like me because of what I'm doing. And it actually helps make them cool to the people who do like what they're doing. But yeah, absolutely. Right.
Well, they're also, they aren't genuinely like punk or in counterculture because that would require like artistic thought or like genuinely being cool or subversive. So the way they're subversive is just by being like outright hateable and fascistic.
Right. And they love pretending that they're the new, Emma, haven't you heard conservatism is the new punk rock, which I'll never get because these are guys who don't like who don't like punk rock to begin with. Like they don't like anything about punk. Like why do they care about being punk? It's so weird to me.
They always develop these like constructs in society or in corporations to stand in for like actual powerful figures or like actual systems of oppression that they can, present themselves as being like antagonistic to. Like they do this with like HR in corporations all the time, where like the company CEO and like their board of directors and all the people that they worship and like lick the boots of are the ones responsible for like the negative firing and hiring practices, the negative pollution practices. But if you go through like Facebook or like, Twitter or whatever, you would think that the ladies, like the associates, the junior associates in HR have all the power in every Fortune 500 company, because that's how they can rebel against the things that are, impacting their lives negatively without actually having to like challenge the core issues with those things. They can just like, map their misogyny onto it or map their racism onto it.
Right, absolutely. But also like to me, it's even further like even beyond ideological beliefs. Like they don't like anything that has to do with punk rock.
I know.
The music, the aesthetics, but go ahead. Let's continue.
We'll hear this guy, but we'll get back to it. I just think like it's insane, and everything you guys are saying is correct. It's also they're literally speaking about the people that they're trying to get in their coalition to be afraid of cities. Like all of this is projection with conservatives, and this is another prime example. We'll start from the beginning.
They are sending to school in this city. They have no jobs in this city. They have no connections to this community at all. But they're the ones who've been advocating for the 1%, the criminals, the killers, the rapists, the drug dealers. And I'm glad they're here today. Because me, Pete, and the Vice President are all going to leave here, and inspired by them, we're going to add thousands more resources to this city to get the criminals and the gang members out of here. We're going to dismantle those networks, and we're going to prove that a city can serve for the law-abiding citizens who live there. We are not going to let the communists destroy a great American city, let alone the nation's capital. And let's just also address another thing. All these demonstrators that you've seen out here in recent days, all of these elderly white hippies, they're not part of the city and never have been. And by the way, most of the citizens who live in Washington, D.C. are black. This is not a city that has had any safety for its black citizens for generations. And President Trump is the one who is fixing that with the support of the Metropolitan Police Department, the support of the National Guard, and our federal law enforcement officers. So we're going to ignore these stupid white hippies that all need to go because they're all over 90 years old, and we're going to get back to the business of protecting the American people and the citizens of Washington, D.C.
Who is this for?
That's for me. That's right, Miller. Take it to those honkies. Obviously, it's for the DC blacks, right? Like, who are being held down by like the aging hippie population there.
I mean, he knows how to speak to the streets. He's got all that street
He's huge
cred.
at Howard now. They keep inviting him to all the parties.
As he's flanked by how many, basically, I think those are National Guardsmen or whatever, and he's kind of sectioned off from the protesters, the hordes of 90-year-olds that are scaring him apparently so much that he has to be separated from them. Let's do a little fact check here. We'll get some Pinocchios out in the spirit of Glenn Kessler. I'm glad that we're done with that era.
Oh, good. I think I got one of the Pinocchios for you too. Let's do this.
All right, nice. This is the actual footage of the protesters. Let's see if they're all elderly white hippies.
Fuck you, Pete. Fucking Nazi.
Climate justice!
Fuckers!
Get the
fuck out of my city!
90-year-old? Why do you say that?
I don't know. He really stretched credulity there. Why didn't he just say, like, boom, at least lower it?
Gentrifiers, that's the new thing.
Yeah, 90-year-olds.
Out of touch. They're out of touch. They're out of touch with this latest generation of black youths, unlike Stephen Miller, the preeminent Nazi of the Trump administration. He knows what's popping. Like, he's been on Fresh and Fit, right? I guess. Is that still a podcast? Are they black on Fresh and Fit? I don't
so. Yeah.
I've never seen it.
What do Stephen Miller fans think? They know that he's just saying this like as a lie, right? Like they clearly don't care about black people in DC. It's just funny to hear him say that.
But he's a fascist. So like fascists like playing with language. They like doing these like obvious lies because it makes them feel powerful. It makes them feel powerful when they think that they can lie to you and either you believe them or you can't do anything about it. And so like some of it is that, and some of it is just that despite being like in charge, essentially, a lot of them are still very thin-skinned. And so like when they're yelling at him, when like, JD Vance is on his 8th vacation in 8 months, like he actually has his feeling hurts by the fact that the people whose lives like he's making worse don't like that and are expressing that to him directly. Like it seems silly because you would imagine they would know this, but a lot of the oligarchs and the politicians and the critical media who serve them are actually surprised when people don't just take it and roll over it and just go, like, I guess you've made crime legal, so all I can do is die in the gutter. Like that's like they're surprised by that. And they, I think, are going to realize very, maybe not soon, but eventually that there's a reason why like the government had to pass some sort of redistributive policies in the earlier part of the 20th century. It's because like otherwise there would be mass unrest. It wasn't just because like, they didn't want every poor person or half of society to die in the streets. It's that people would have, taken up to the streets to do things other than die.
Right. Well, I just wanted to address, he said that, he said the majority of DC's residents are black people, right? And that this whole DC takeover from Trump was meant to make them feel safer because, they're hiding and they can't go out. I don't know if you guys saw this, but earlier this week, research by OpenTable found that restaurant attendance was down every day since Trump's DC takeover compared with last year. With number of diners dipping by 31% since Trump ordered the National Guard to patrol Washington. So,
they're having home-cooked meals with their nuclear families.
Right.
What about black restaurants? Are black restaurants more that's white people staying home because they're apparently the ones committing the crimes. I guess that's what Stephen Miller was trying to imply.
I missed this. This paragraph that said black-owned restaurants are up 500%. I'm sorry.
Yes. See, finally, DC's being taken back.
I'm glad that you kind of picked up, Brandon, on his like the way the emphasis and with his chest that he said black. Like I thought he was like ready for that in his back pocket.
He put he put a whole second syllable in it. He was like black.
Right. Yeah, we see this all the time. It's like the kind of Nazi internet posting now basically being the shadow president, that kind of poster, where everything is designed to trigger. They put little Easter eggs in there for their little Nazi fans that they can talk about it on 4chan or whatever forum that they're using right now. And it's all about eliciting an angry response, or Twitter, thanks Brian, or put it on Twitter now. It's about eliciting an angry response. It's about creating some sort of emotional reaction. And yeah, it's insane. And at issue here is also the fact that DC doesn't have democracy. Like, isn't it crazy that our nation's capital is one of the most undemocratic places that the United States has control over? Like, they don't have self-governance, which is what'd you say?
I think it makes a lot of sense.
Right? Yeah. Well, yeah. There you go.
You say it like that.
It does make a lot of sense. And so Stephen Miller has to go out there and be like, I am your big daddy protector, basically, because you don't have democratic self-governance. So I will dictate to you how I'm going to keep black people safe in DC, while, like, you know, putting in these little Easter eggs for the Nazis that they're watching. And the reality is that no one likes this. Trump actually temporarily recovered in his approval on the issue of immigration after the Kilmar Abrego Garcia case. It had been a lot of backlash, but he sort of recovered. And it was the LA National Guard deployment that saw him dip below 50% on his best polling issue, and he has not recovered since then. So that's not directly polling about this action here in DC, but people don't like the idea of National Guardsmen and in the streets of their cities. It's just not popular.
Yeah, no, I mean, it makes it feel more like a militarized zone, which is not what people like. Like, you know, being in occupied territory doesn't make anybody feel like safe. But this is, I think, like Matt said, this is like theater. This is theater to like pretend as though the Trump administration is doing something or is even capable of doing something with the toolkit that they have in, you know, in their possession to like solve the problems that are plaguing Americans that they claim, like the fentanyl epidemic, and that's like somehow going to be tackled with tariffs, and like the crime epidemic and the homelessness epidemic that's going to be tackled with like extra kinetic policing. Because in reality, like, we know what solves those things, and they're redistributive policies. They're like, you know, broadening the social safety net, but that's not what like the Republicans want to do. So they have to do these big like theatrical performances, which aren't the same thing as like distractions. It's just the sense that like the purpose of it is to convince people that something is being done to like solve these problems. And this is just what people are taught, like, is a solution for crime. People are taught that kinetic policing, just like kinetic military operations, are the only way to keep like difficult populations like safe. But if you live there, you're like, this is not what I want to keep me safe. But this isn't for those people in DC. This is not for the blacks or the whites in DC. It's for, you know, like the people in the suburbs, to like, you know, who sometimes come to DC maybe for like a show or to go to a new restaurant or to get a new TikTok item that they wanted, and they see a homeless person and they get scared because like that reminds them of like the things that are wrong with our society, and they have no real context for how it might actually be solved. So I guess this is better than, you know, nothing.
Right. Jimmy from Old Hampshire said, Emma with the Anchorman black again. I was, it's Anchorman 2 where that happens in, but I didn't want to embarrass myself by citing Anchorman 2, which I still think is really underrated because
never seen it.
The second half of it is a total mess, but it's just, it's good. It's good. That is a reference, you guys, to we played Morning Joe react to the MSNBC rebrand MS Now, and Molly Jong-Fast, you know, who seems like a nice person, trying really hard to be like, it's good, like we love MS Now, and her voice went up.
It's like, what do you think of my haircut?
Yeah, it's good. It looks great. Have you heard about that? MSNBC is becoming MS Now. Brandon, are you there?
Yeah.
Oh.
Am I not here?
Yeah.
Watch Harry Emden.
I don't know what to say to I don't know what to say to MS. That's such a great name, honestly. I mean,
I just immediately thought of like multiple sclerosis now.
Yeah, that's what I thought of too. What is the MS supposed to stand for if they're trying?
My source.
My source, even though it used to be Microsoft, which they like talked about how
being vestigial.
They did away with it, but they're scratching off NBC, which is more recent. Anyway,
is it so they could just?
What?
It's hip now. It's hip. It's edgy. It's MS now. It's now. It's right now.
If
Joe
you're
Scarborough's in your face. Right now.
His ear is pierced. Name, though, to get away from the old name and branding, why not? Why are you keeping anything from it? Why are you? And then it's only really 2 letters off from MSNBC.
Yeah.
They should just like buy the rights to like broadcast on channel 13 and change it to MS13 to like steal some of the attention and clout from the cartel. You know, like we're piggyback that SEO.
John from T-Berg, hate the dumb, stupid Nazi all you want, but you have to respect Stephen Miller's ability to somehow say black without a hard R. Chris Burdick, I can't watch Stephen Miller speak without expecting Austin Powers to show up and kiss his ass. New dad, to prove DC is safe now, Stephen Miller should do a big old shot of fentanyl to prove it's uncut. Verbonia taps the Sartre quote, yes, about, you know, the don't ever think that the anti-Semites don't understand the absurdity of their arguments. They do, right? They're just not connected to the truth.
Well, some of them don't now because it's been so many generations of them like hearing that stuff without being in on the joke that some people actually don't get it anymore. Like back when Sartre wrote that, he couldn't possibly imagine how dumb everyone would become. And so there are actually people out there who like do fully believe some of the like the dumbest racist myths you hear online.
Namely the president of the United States, the president who like I think genuinely believes like that the illegals thing or has convinced himself. I mean,
see, the thing about Trump is that sometimes he believes it, he just doesn't care. Like, you know, Trump might believe that white genocide is happening in South Africa, but he doesn't care about those people. So it's just like that's
right.
I guess that's bad.
What does this mean for me?
That's the best case scenario is that like he believes something insane, but just is too lazy or self-interested to act on it.
Is there an angle?
Riki says, I gotta get some of that top 1% drug dealer stuff. Nate the Nazi nuker. I love rebranding of the 99 verse 1% being just about dangerous criminals. Oh wait, the billionaires are the dangerous criminals. Dave from Jamaica, heroic levels of heckling. Meg MCA, the truth is the hecklers have probably lived in DC longer than Vance.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Chicago.
I've been in DC for about as long as Vance has.
Chicago letter carrier Shake Shack is on the Israel boycott list. It is.
Shake Shack is?
Yeah.
I think that's true. I don't go to Shake Shack.
God damn it.
It's Five Guys because I think Five Guys is a superior experience, but
Five Guys gives me a stomach ache. I don't know what it is about.
What? Five Guys is good.
I mean, that's part of the experience.
I guess, yeah.
You gotta want it.
I wonder if that's why they went there.
Nikki Knapp says Crimea is the Istanbul of the Black Sea. Dave from Jamaica, Stephen Miller is basically the Nazi guy from Jubilee, same energy. Yep. All right, we'll open up the phone lines here. We'll take a few quick calls, 646-257-3920. So, Matt, we covered this yesterday, but Wesley Bell, who is the AIPAC plant that AIPAC spent $12 million on to help unseat Cori Bush in one congressional district in a primary, he ended up winning because of corruption. And we played footage from the protest at one of his town halls over his support for the genocide in Gaza. He went on the AIPAC-sponsored trip to Israel a few weeks ago and was photographed there in some sort of like bunker because of how scary everything is for Israelis right now. And so I guess it got worse when the cameras turned off and there was some roughing up of protesters.
Yeah, Ryan Grimm has a tweet here. St. Louis Police and Security for Rep. Wesley Bell got quite rough with town hall attendees at the end of the recent event. Here's a new video from one constituent who filmed some of the assaults and by the end is getting thrown to the ground himself. I'm going to make this full screen. That's not an overstatement about how rough this is. Watch especially the big guy here sort of stiff arming by the neck this woman.
joking? I'm sorry. I just had a reaction that was a little visceral. Apologies for talking over it, but I mean, watch the guy in the green shirt. He puts is he like choking that woman who's what, a third of his size?
He's grabbing her by the
size,
back of the head here.
by her hair.
There's another angle too, a closer angle that plays after this one.
All right, Jesus.
Israel trained these cops?
There's a good chance. We know Israel trains the NYPD.
Here's another angle for the same thing that happened.
Oh my God.
That's an assault.
Get the fuck off her! You better get your money back. Hey, bro, you better calm your ass down, boy. You better chill. I'm down. I'm down. Get your ass up. Let's go.
I mean, Israel emboldens all sorts of violent people around the world to engage in this behavior in defense of some nebulous idea of like Jewishness around the world that obviously most of the people don't care about, especially in the United States of America, where most of the people who subscribe to Zionism are just like outright Christian anti-Semites. It
represents whiteness for them, whiteness as opposed to Judaism. Yeah.
Not even just as a political ideology, like it allows them on an interpersonal level to just like engage in all sorts of like antisocial behavior while being, cheered on by the state, by being cheered on. Like, if you go and punch a, anti-genocide protester in the face in front of a cop, heads or tails, they won't arrest you. They might join in. They might go they might just turn a blind eye. And that's very attractive to, I think, a type of violent person who's very common in the United States of America. Because they've been conditioned to behave this way, that like it's, it won't be constrained to just like attacking anti-Israel protesters. And that's something that people don't want you to know about the, Israeli genocide machine. That's what they don't want you to know about, like the American police industrial complex, that they pretend like it's going to be siloed to like destructive and dangerous and deviant populations. And by the time you realize that they built this whole, this whole genocide engine, you're going right into it.
Yeah. I mean, it also is just, it's representative of force, violence, power, capital, like it's why it's important not to talk about Israel as an ally of the United States, but more as an extension of the United States, as a colonial outpost, as a vassal state, whatever you want to use to describe it, but not as an ally in a traditional relationship. Because as the Chancellor of Germany said, Israel does the West's dirty work, but it particularly does the United States' dirty work in the Middle East, a region that we have been bombing and attacking for my entire lifetime. And this is kind of the latest and most brutal escalation of United States-sponsored violence in the region.
Wesley Bell, it was quoted by that news piece that we played yesterday, but it wasn't in the actual piece, which I was kind of disappointed by, but was quoted by that same journalist as saying, "I'm a Missouri congressman, and the M doesn't stand for Middle East." You got $12 million to be in that seat by Middle East interests, buddy. Like, what are you talking about? Yeah, that's the problem. You're not there because of Missouri. You're there because of supporters of Israel wanted to remove Cori Bush. So they got your debtor prison ass. Like, and search that, folks. Missouri. You look up the way that he used to represent a city that got more money from minor traffic violations of the community than property taxes. So guess who bore the brunt of that? I mean, insane. I mean, he's a crook. Like, Wesley Bell is a crook.
Yep. All right, guys, let's take a call or two. Calling from a 320 area code. Who's this? Where are you calling from?
Hey, this is Bruce from Central Minnesota.
Bruce from Central Minnesota. If you don't mind taking us off speaker, that would be very helpful.
Yeah, give me 1 sec here.
Sure.
Okay, I think we're good.
Great.
Okay, so watching the interview you guys had, I like that guy from Maine. He seems like a very, he's not going to be apologetic about what he says. And I'm a big Vosh guy. I'm a big Hassan guy. It's like a typical Democrat would call me extreme, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
But what are your guys' thoughts about having a politician who is just like, and Binder, maybe you can give some insight, but just a politician that's going to cut a WWE style promo on Republicans where it's like, hey, you know what? I'm done with facts. We're not going to persuade these people. Like you guys have said, centrist policies aren't going to work. We need to talk about what we're going to do and be unapologetic and just tear these people to shreds about all the things that they're doing that are just plain evil. What do you guys think a politician like that, could they be successful in this current state?
Hell yeah.
Well, first of all, why do you conflate facts with centrist policies? That would be my first question. But I'll say Abdul El Sayed is calling Mike Rogers a cuck today on Twitter. So I feel like that's kind of here.
Yeah.
It does have to move with facts,
more towards
I mean towards Republicans. Like, I can't convince Republicans with my facts of like my parents, they're super MAGA'd out. I can't go to them and be like, well, actually, look at all these facts about what's happening in Palestine, and they just don't care. So, what I'm saying about facts is with Republicans.
Well, to be honest with you, dude,
Fox News people calling. Oh, go ahead.
No, it's okay. I mean, look, there's maybe 10 to 20% of Republicans who are gonna maybe listen to you. I'm using polling about Israel, for example, off the top of my head, just to give you that ballpark figure, like I'm Donald Trump, complete percentages out of my ass. But the polling on the issue of Israel, for example, 8% support for Democrats for Israel's military action in Gaza, 25% support for independence, and it's in the mid-70s for support for Israel's military action for Republican voters. So you see that gulf there. The independents and Democrats are living in reality, and an overwhelming majority of Republicans are not. And that's just kind of where we're at. The good news is that everybody else outnumbers them. The problem is that Democrats have been, because it's more profitable for consultants, trying to win over affluent suburbanites in a very small section, in a small section of the country, in swing states, and micro-targeting them with this, with the politics of, fact-checking and lawyering that you're talking about that are not effective. What you're describing is good, politics that should hopefully spread. And then I don't know about your parents, but it's more fruitful to target the independents and the non-voters than it is, frankly, people who are already down the rabbit hole.
And I've seen the success with Gavin Newsom and his kind of trolling and
is it
Gavin
success
Newsom,
though? This is my question.
The success as in Republicans are calling it out and they don't understand. You guys realize Donald Trump does that same thing, right? I want far left Democrats to see that and go even further. I'm from Central Minnesota, and I think Tom Emmer is one of my guys. And I want a Democrat to go to him and just basically be like, we want someone who's not going to like get on their knees and kiss Donald Trump's shoes and be too busy acting like a jabroni. I want someone who's going to stand up for the people and not be on their knees like you are. Like, I want a politician to come out and say something like that. Like, I'm sick of Democrats just kind of being so milquetoast.
I hear you. I think that it's changing. I think in part it's a generational thing, but in part it's also a corruption thing. And if you are somebody that's more of a liberal representing corporate interests, you are less likely to be as aggressive in fighting Trump. So we're working on it, but appreciate the call.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, appreciate you guys. Love
Thanks
you.
so
Bye.
much. Thanks. All right. Another call, then we'll do a clip here. Calling from a 630 area code. Who's this? Where are you calling from? 630.
Hi, my name is Laura. I'm calling from the west suburbs of Chicago.
Laura from the west suburbs of Chicago. What's on your mind? I just was in Chicago, my first time ever, and I totally get the hype.
It's a gorgeous city. I actually went to school in upstate New York, so I'm so happy you took my call on a Thursday so that I can say to Brandon, go Bearcats.
That's right.
I don't get the reference, but yeah.
It's the mascot of
Binghamton University mascot.
Oh, cool. Okay, got you.
Yeah, just the Chicago thing. Every time I was out there, I would tell them I'm from the suburbs of Chicago, and they'd say, what's it like living in Chicago? And I'd say, I don't live in Chicago. But it's a gorgeous city.
Yeah.
Anyway, reason I'm calling is because September, when RFK is supposed to discover the cure for autism.
Oh, yes, I'm very excited for that.
Is that really? I forgot all about that. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's the reason I'm calling, because I am exactly what the RFK crowd fears. I am a late diagnosed level 1 autistic person. I did not find out I was autistic until I was 26. And so I just wanted to use your platform for a minute to get on my soapbox to talk about what we need to be doing to support the autistic community when we get to this second stage.
Absolutely.
So I don't know how familiar you are with the level system for autism diagnosis, but basically the way that autism is diagnosed in the United States right now, you get a diagnosis that you're on the autistic spectrum disorder, and then based on certain challenges that you face or how hard certain aspects of society are for you to deal with, you get sorted into either level 1, level 2, or level 3. I'm level 1 because one of the reasons that they said specifically was that I speak in complete sentences, so that should kind of give you an idea of how the levels work.
Mm-hmm.
And there is a bit of a divide in the community between level 1 autistic people and level 2 and 3, because level 2 and 3 autistic people do not always have the same access to the communication methods that are most effective with allistic people, people who are not autistic.
Gotcha.
So when this all started and people were saying, autistic people can and do hold down jobs, we do go on dates, we do all these things, it is very important that we keep countering that narrative and keep saying that, yes, people like us can live the same lives as you do. While we are doing that, I want to get ahead of this. I do not want us to forget our level 2 and 3 siblings who have more challenges in those areas. So I would like to ask that people, while they continue to push that narrative, also point out that none of those things are prerequisites for being worthy of existence.
Right.
So we need to be defending our level 2 and 3 autistic siblings and changing the narrative somewhat, because I believe one of two things that they're going to do at this next push. One, they're going to try to change the definition of what autism is to push people like me out, people like me who are able to participate in society in the ways that they want us to. Or they are going to say, okay, well, you guys are fine, but these ones who can't do those things, they're problems, and we need to go after them. And just because they are not as able to speak out as the rest of us are, I think it's really important that we keep aware of that and keep defending our siblings who are not as able to defend themselves.
Absolutely. I mean, the thing that I really hate about the way that this RFK, wellness libertarian movement talks about people on the autism spectrum is they are not necessarily they're not interested in finding a cure because they are more interested in pathologizing folks who are on the autism spectrum, or making it so that like their constituency feels like they have control over their health care by almost making folks with disabilities into abnormalities, or maybe not even disabilities, but being neurodivergent as something that needs to be cured, where I don't want to speak for you, caller, but a lot of folks who are on the autism spectrum, and perhaps this is more of the level 1 area, find that it can provide some great benefits, and it's a huge part of like the beautiful person that they are. And you can have specialized interests, you can be more focused in many ways in some instances. Like this is a part of the rich tapestry of humanity, and the RFK thing treats it like it's some sort of freak show.
Absolutely. I do struggle sometimes with when I am faced with situations that remind me that autism is in many ways a disability. At the same time, say RFK did come up with a cure for autism, I'm not taking it. If they tried to make me take it, I would do everything in my power to become autistic again.
That's beautiful. And I would refer you to an interview that I still quote all the time. I find it to be very, very inspirational, when Greta Thunberg was on Democracy Now! And she described her autism as her superpower. And for her, I think it's quite clear. And she's changing the world with her autism as her superpower, and her, of course, great sense of moral justice and fortitude. So I find that very inspirational, and I appreciate the call.
Yeah, thanks so much for taking my call.
Thank you.
Bye.
JR in Philly, wait, she's a level 1 autist and pays taxes. Yeah. Isn't that what RFK was saying?
That never happened.
Yeah.
They don't pay taxes, they don't have kids.
Yeah.
Also, let's be clear. I know she was using this example to show that like she loves who she is, which is great. But I also want to be clear, RFK Jr. ain't discovering the cure for autism.
Just give me 2
Well,
more
I mean,
months. 2 more
We need an
months.
extension on that.
It's going to
In
be like
some way-
Trump's tariff extensions, just like these arbitrary Trump gave him that deadline.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I don't know how important autism specifically even is to RFK Jr. so much as it is just a thing that like your child might be, that he feels comfortable weaponizing in pursuit of like getting parents, and like the kinds of parents who are concerned about like their children in a way that is, perhaps not rooted in reality, to subscribe to whatever grift that he's selling this week, right? A lot of people use people's fear of like something bad happening or something weird happening to their child to like get them to turn their brain off and like start drinking methylene blue or start smearing yourself with like colloidal silver or stuff like that, because a lot of people are worried about like being good parents or like their child not having like a fulfilling life, and they are either implicitly ableist and understanding what like being autistic would be, or just like outright bigoted when it comes to like thinking like, well, I want my child to be normal, when like what's normal? Like, it's RFK Jr. normal? You want your child to be like RFK Jr.? But no, like, so like I don't know if like autism specifically is important to him, or if it's just part of that like anti-vaxxer grift, something he's latched onto. And if like he won't be onto another childhood learning disability next week, he'll be talking about ADHD, or maybe your child has oppositional defiance disorder, or maybe your child is like trans, and that'll be the thing he's curing next week. Anything to make parents afraid and turn off their brain and get them to subscribe to the Maha agenda, which conveniently forgets that they're making it like basically legal to pollute to the point that your child will just be inhaling lead fumes for the rest of their like developmental years.
Right. It's flypaper for basically a hypochondriac parents,
Yeah.
and whatever gets them to open emails, whether it's autism or COVID conspiracies, where they're take ivermectin because it's the best thing for COVID, and also COVID's a big fake thing, and also it's a Chinese bioweapon. Like none of this stuff actually needs to be sort of like coherent. It's just scary.
Flypaper for hypochondriac parents is a bar, Matt, for sure. But it's also, I don't want to downplay if you are on like a nonverbal autistic person, or like that can be incredibly challenging for a parent. That's not something I want to diminish.
There should be state resources.
But the point is, we don't like that's the answer, is state resources to help with that kind of healthcare. And RFK is basically explicitly against it. It's about bespoke individual choices that you can make to improve your health in his eyes, which is how a rich guy would think about healthcare. And that's exactly what who RFK Jr. is. He's also, I guess, a workout guru.
And a never nude.
Oh yeah. Did you watch that clip of him?
We're about to. We're about to. And I think like they kind of find him a bit of a clown over on Fox News. Like he's had multiple appearances there where they ask him questions where they're sort of making fun of him. And Jesse Waters asks him about why he always works out in jeans. But first, let's get some visual evidence of it. This is what the government is putting out. Workout videos with Hexeth, who they do say that this is the best hangover cure, is working out. Working out with RFK Jr.
Also, the entire time you're working out, you can't even drink. So
that's
true. For staying dry.
No. He has a camelback full of like blue Hawaiians on.
It's Gatorade.
1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3.
Wait.
Hi, I'm
Sorry, let's just go back. I want to go slow on that. This Michael Bay ass cutting every point.
Yeah.
A little bit off time here with the lunge.
Every bad action movies.
Everyone's coming up in our boy Bobby.
I'm 71 goddamn years old. You're doing
Some of these people have
bitch.
Some of these people have terrible form. Not just RFK. Some of these people have terrible form.
I know, and they're not even wearing jeans to blame it on.
No, Brandon, this is why it's perfect you're here. Later, we'll see the pull-up form by one Pete Hexeth, but let's keep going.
I love doing lunges in jeans.
Oh, my God.
Wait, why is he wearing jeans?
You'll find out
he's going to
in a sec.
explain it. Yeah, no,
He will
it's
explain
something.
Hi, I'm Robert F. Kennedy Jr. You're HHS Secretary. I'm here with Secretary Hexeth from the Department of
And people have said this all the time.
You're an HHS secretary?
Yeah, it's so funny that this is the healthy guy. That sounds like he's basically like on death's door.
He sounds like he's on a unicycle and he's trying to keep his balance.
I mean, this is
Also-
he looks like the football in my parents' basement.
I want to
Go ahead.
But just before he gives his reason for why he wears jeans all the time to work out, I want to give the actual reason, because he doesn't work out his legs, because he pins testosterone for like testosterone replacement therapy, like a lot of guys who are in their like later years do. And then he works out his glamour muscles, like his chest and his biceps and his abs, and probably not even his back. And like that's the only reason like he wears jeans. Any other excuse is going to be like a lie, but it's that. It's because he's not a principled lifter. He doesn't respect working out. Like a lot of people don't, but like he still wants to do it so he can pretend to be healthy.
He's got chicken legs. Yeah.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, he's Johnny Bravoing it.
You know how fun it would be to race RFK in like an 800 meter? Just see how like far away from him you get.
Right.
You want to race a 71-year-old man?
Yes.
Yeah.
And we had our big Pete and Bobby challenge today. 50 pull-ups, 100 push-ups. You try to get under 5 minutes. How'd you do?
We got close. That was about 5:25. You were right
Okay,
behind.
sure.
We had a couple of
sure.
Marines here.
One beat 3 minutes, a couple beat 4 minutes.
That guy is not a lot of good push-ups here. A lot of swinging. A lot of swinging going on. A lot of swinging. That's not a pull-up. I'm just going to tell you right now. That's not pulling yourself up. That's like a physics experiment.
But that's no. But remember the Marjorie Taylor Greene workout pull-ups? She's doing the CrossFit whatever.
It's the CrossFit kipping pull-ups.
Yeah,
but that's
which
not
are
like
bullshit.
a real pull-up. That's like when you turn like lateral.
Shoulders. Go on. Sorry.
Yeah, it's bad for your shoulders, and it's also just not like it's not a real pull-up. It's turning lateral momentum into like upward motion to like get around the fact that you can't pull yourself up. But like that's just one of the issues with CrossFit. It's like it takes a metric that is just not important when it comes to lifting weights, and usually, which is like how long it takes you to complete a set or how long it takes you to complete a rep, and makes it the entire thing you focus on. Like, who cares if you can do 100 push-ups and 50 pull-ups in 10 minutes? What is the utility of that? But it's like a contest, and if you're not going to do good form, don't even do it at all. Like that's the
number one rule you learn when you first start like working out or trying to lift a little bit, is basically that it's do lower reps, do lower weight if you need to, but just make sure that you get the form correctly.
No discipline. That's
the Marines aren't doing kipping pull-ups either. Go back to this. You look at like their feet. They're just going up and down, controlling their movement.
Yes, the Marines know what they're doing.
Whereas like our boy Hegseth is like kicking his own ankles.
Yeah.
No, that guy to the left of RFK Jr. is basically just like swinging himself around the bar like he's in a gymnastics class.
Oh
like,
yeah,
that
might be a woman actually.
If you just try to do 50 pull-ups in a row, like it's just going to be really difficult and your form is going to degrade. That's why you split things up into sets to begin with, so you have a chance to recover, so your form doesn't degrade like this towards the last few reps. Like that's why doing it for like speed is like silly, because your form is just going to degrade. Those are terrible push-ups. Everyone is like, but this, no offense, this is the American Armed Forces. I'm not surprised.
Why is this so gay?
Look at Hex's legs.
This is why we
as a veteran, I completely agree with this.
I mean,
everything Brandon's saying.
This is why we invented drones. I bet Chinese pull-ups aren't like this. I'll tell you that. They're going up and down in a straight line. They put a level on their back. If they go off even a single, like, anything other than fully perpendicular to the ground, they just they take them back out.
I like the security guys realizing they're in the shot and over on the left side of this, and then realizing, whoops.
I mean, honestly, this feels like a Top Gun montage. But anyway, all right, I think we got the idea. So they challenged Sean Duffy, and I guess Will Kane. They did some response to it.
But what was his reasoning for wearing jeans? Did he say?
We have it. I sent it in sound. It's right after this. Now.
Oh, it's a new clip.
Sean Duffy should worry about the planes, I think.
I gotta know what his reasoning for wearing jeans while working out is. My God,
you'll never guess. You'll never. It's so ridiculous. It only raises more questions than it.
Yeah, it's really dumb. Here is Jesse Waters kind of cheekily asking.
I haven't seen this yet, but I'm guessing it's preparedness, that he needs to be ready at any moment.
We'll see.
Jeans don't make you prepared for anything. You'd be better off in shorts.
No, like if the shit goes down while you're in your jeans.
Oh.
Yeah, you'd be in shorts, which makes more movement. Whenever you got to run to somewhere, you want to be wearing shorts, not jeans.
Health Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. is here. Mr. Secretary, thank you so much for joining us. Before we get started, I have to ask you a question that everybody's wondering about. Why do you wear jeans when you work out?
Well, I just started doing that a long time ago because I would go hiking in the morning and then I'd go straight to the gym. And I found it was convenient, and now I'm used to it, so I just do it.
Okay.
What the fuck are you talking about? What does that mean?
Yeah.
Those are hiking.
Because you can't go hiking. You can't go hiking in anything but jeans.
Right.
That's the main thing I wouldn't go hiking in is jeans.
He's just trying not to tell you guys his like training secret. Those are like weighted jeans, like how like Piccolo and Dragon Ball Z wears like weighted clothes to train in. Like those jeans weigh like 15 kilograms.
That would have been a great answer if he had said that, because if it wasn't the truth, it'd be a great lie. But obviously, it's not either.
Can you imagine being at the gym and RFK's sweaty ass comes in from a hike to do some bench presses and his legs are like, it's disgusting, man.
That makes
Into
less
some shorts. I just started doing this a long time ago. Like what? What do you mean you started doing this a long time ago? Wearing the inappropriate clothing?
Yeah.
How does Jesse Waters not follow up?
We'll see what
let's see what
he says.
Let's see if there's any kind of follow-up.
Jesse's making fun of him,
right? Yeah.
He's being a frat boy, and they all think RFK is a little weird.
Well, I mean, he's one of the most
Because he
eccentric
is.
people in the entire world.
Yeah.
I would go hiking in the morning and then I'd go straight to the gym. And I found it was convenient, and now I'm used to it, so I just do it.
Okay. There were a lot of theories, but that makes perfect sense. So I
No, it doesn't.
He definitely almost confronted him about that. He almost said
Yes.
something. He was like, "Wait, no, I'm not supposed to do that." Yeah, he was like,
Honestly,
"Okay,
It was better before he even said that, because now it makes even less sense.
Right.
That like you not only do you work out in jeans, but you go hiking in jeans too. What?
Two for
And that's
one.
what makes it convenient. Also, why are you
all know,
going
bro.
working out after your hike? What? How lame is your hike that you're feeling good enough, like you're feeling not tired at all, that you go to the gym to work out? Is that something people do?
Well, that's his cardio, and then the liftings at the gym is what he would argue.
Yeah, his legs are too burned out from hiking to ever like squat or work them out in any real way. That's and that's why he was like a Dorito on top of two toothpicks.
I mean, it's just odd though. Like, you would think that you're probably right that he doesn't work out his back either, because if you want to work out your back, you need strong legs. It all starts with the legs. What?
Some people just aren't. They're not disciplined. He lacks discipline. You hate to see it.
You hate to see it. Yeah, here he is.
I mean,
This
you
is
hate to
super
see this.
comfortable.
Look at how sweaty he is based on his shirt, and he's wearing jeans. That is horrendous. You're going to get some sort of flesh-eating bacteria doing that.
I mean,
He didn't he?
yeah, right.
Did he get like a brain worm or something?
He got the brain in his worm because he got an infection from wet, sweaty jeans. That's the theory
Yeah,
I'm running with.
The worm also had jeans on somehow.
Denim worm.
Single
How
leg.
would that work? One jean leg? Like, it's
Yeah,
almost
one
like
jean leg. Yeah.
No, it was
Little
literally
belt
just
around
wearing
it.
a pair of jeans, and it was kept up like Earthworm Jim. It was like a whole thing.
All right. One more call, and then that will be it for calls. Calling from a 480 area code. Who's this? Where are you calling from?
Yeah, hey, this is Alex from Phoenix. I just called yesterday. I just wanted to call again and give you guys an update and give a big thanks to everybody who donated yesterday after I called in.
Well, very
Yeah,
coincidental. I picked up your call, but how did you are running for Congress? We laid this out before. So, Alex, what's the update now from yesterday?
Well, we raised over $500 in 24 hours. So that was my biggest day yet for my campaign in terms of fundraising. I want to thank everybody anybody who donated, who was listening. I just truly thank you for believing in my campaign. I won't let you down. And my meeting went great with AZ LD27 Dems last night. I got a lot of support, a lot of signs on my petition. And I'm really excited for the campaign now. Yesterday was a huge boost for me, morale-wise, and yeah, I just want to thank you guys again.
Awesome. Well, appreciate the call. Thanks for the update.
Yeah, of course, guys. Have a good day.
You too. All right, that was super quick. So one more call, and then that will be the final call. Calling from the 720 area code. Who's this? Where are you calling from?
Hey, it's Tony from Maine.
Tony from Maine. What a great day for you to call in. You were the final caller of the day.
Yeah, I loved listening to that interview earlier, Graham there. Definitely very excited for him.
Nice.
But what I was calling about, I just wanted, I guess just ask it, do you guys know who Teddy Sagi is?
No.
Okay, he's a Israeli billionaire, donates tons of money to like the IDF or IOF. He's very affiliated with the IOF, lives in Israel, one of the richest guys in Israel.
Mm-hmm.
He also is the owner of ExpressVPN.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't know like if you guys knew, because I know they're
we
sponsoring
did.
the show.
I mean, look, like, I hear what you're saying. We've I think responded to IAMS about this before. you know,
and I wasn't sure if you had or not. That's what I was like,
Short answer is we defer to the.
I don't know.
The short answer is we defer to the BDS list typically on that, but we're reviewing all sorts of things.
Exactly. I mean, basically, our initial review of it was just that it wasn't on the official BDS list. We know he's an Israeli billionaire. I guess it had been spun off, but we understand some of that kind of concern. But our official policy was that it hadn't been on the BDS list officially, so we hadn't basically changed course, but we're going to look into it as well. Also,
yeah,
you know,
I
we
mean,
had
I see a lot of chatter whenever they're a sponsor, but aside from even just like how horrible he seems to be, I'm just skeptical of VPNs anyway. They've popped up like crazy. They seem to me like they could definitely be susceptible to some sort of mass surveillance type thing, and to me it seems we already do have a secure way of communicating with people. It's the dark web, but that just doesn't seem to get promoted that much. It's more fear monger, but that is a much safer way to chat with people and not have it be traceable, rather than possibly having someone affiliated with the IDF monitoring
I
you.
understand. I hear what you're saying. We're looking into it. I appreciate the call. Thank you.
Left is best. Appreciate you guys.
Appreciate you. All right. Well, with that, we'll do one more. Let's do. Speaking of Israel, maybe let's just do the this number 7 here. So, not sure if you guys have been following the story, but there is this guy, a senior Israeli government official. He's a cybersecurity guy who was just arrested in the United States in Las Vegas like a few weeks ago. His name is Tom Alexandrovich. He was arrested for alleged pedophilia. Now, this guy is, again, a part of Israel's like cyber defense division. There was some sting operation in Vegas, and the Las Vegas PD booked him on felony charges of trying to lure a minor using the internet, basically, to abuse them. This is a deeply serious charge. He, though, was mysteriously released on bail. He, in typical situations like this, with a charge this serious, they would basically be forced to kind of surrender their passport and go through the legal process here in the United States. But instead, this alleged pedophile was sent back on a flight to Israel, and it appears that the judge who made this case, or the federal official, I should say, is this person who is a massive Zionist. U.S. attorney, I should say. Not the judge. The U.S. attorney is an Israeli-born lawyer, and this I don't know how to say her last name, but she had previously like posted things on social media about wiping Gaza off the map and things like that. So here she is, I guess. What's this video?
This is a failed campaign. This is an ad when she ran for Nevada Attorney General in 2022.
Gotcha.
And you'll see.
The radical left is burning down our country and attacking Jews in the streets, and Ilhan Omar is fanning the flame. I'm Sigal Chattah, an Israeli-born lawyer running to be America's #1 conservative.
Excuse me?
Israeli-born lawyer.
I'm sorry. Does that work in Nevada? Like, what is going on there?
Is Ilhan Omar from Nevada?
Does Ilhan Omar do ads where she's like, I'm Somali born? Like, I don't even, like, that's a weird, I mean, okay.
Well, it's a little weird, but she might be saying, hey, please give me money. Well-funded Zionist lobbying group. Also, yeah, Ilhan Omar, the flames beneath her was a little bit on the nose, okay?
our country and attacking Jews in the streets, and Ilhan Omar is fanning the flame.
Also, this was 2022.
I know. I was just
What do you mean?
attacking Jews in the streets. They're using the same playbook from prior to October 7th.
What was she possibly even referring to there?
Nothing.
Being a Muslim, just being. She was
It's an
referring to
attack
being
on a
Muslim.
Jewish person?
Yeah.
It's if you're American Christian evangelical, yeah. Or I guess
Down our country
she's
and attacking-
Israeli.
No, it's okay.
Jews in the streets, and Ilhan Omar is fanning the flame. I'm Sigal Chattah, an Israeli-born lawyer running to be America's #1 conservative attorney general. I'll stand up to Ilhan Omar and take her team to court for defunding our police, opening our borders, and teaching our kids to hate each other based on the color of their skin. I need your
You did
help.
that all?
The left is pouring money into this seat.
You're a foreigner talking about closing the borders. Like, what are you talking?
Well, she's from Israel. That's not really foreign.
Right,
So
fair
you're not-
enough. Sorry,
state.
51st, the 51st and most specialist state.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, first state, really.
The most,
I mean,
also the most moral
In
state.
Donald Trump's heart.
just be a representative from there. I don't...
First state in my heart. Aw.
So they can put more criminals on the streets. Can you chip in $25 right now? If enough patriots come together, we'll be able to build a grassroots campaign necessary to stop Ilhan Omar in her trap. It's time that we put strong female lawyers like myself forward to make our case.
That was not a question. Thank you.
She's going to hate it if this message goes viral. Thanks for your support, and God bless America. My name is Sigal Chattah, and I approve this message.
I mean, for me, she seems very sane. Go on.
I'm just going to say it. I'm glad Ilhan Omar did all those things that she just said she did. I wasn't listening to all of them, but I heard opening our borders and like making crime legal and like, I don't know, stuff like that. Like I agree. As a leftist, I agree with that stuff. So I'm glad Elon did that.
Yeah, me too. I'm in favor of her, obviously, implementing Sharia law in the United States, which she's very powerful. She's very powerful. She can do it all. I just can't believe how insane this woman is. I mean, even just like her face here, the way she's posing, the shoehorning in of some like kind of half-assed feminism is hilarious to me too. And also apparently someone who's very interested in protecting pedophiles, if they're Israeli.
Now she's acting like oh no, somebody should have taken his passport.
Yeah, sure.
She's like,
At this point, we're just lucky that he was
pedophiles back home safely.
At this point, we're just lucky he wasn't given like a job in the Trump administration. You know, like off just the moment like he got out of the prison, that they didn't just put him right in the White House. The way things are going.
Never say never.
I mean, let's be honest. Like Jeffrey Epstein died about 2 weeks ago. They can't, they can't like keep a sex criminal in jail after that. Like, it's in honor of Jeffrey, Donald Trump's best friend.
Right, Donald Trump's best friend for decades. Doing modeling agencies, bringing girls over from Eastern European countries, and we don't know how old they were. I mean, Virginia Giuffre was taken, stolen, kidnapped, groomed at Mar-a-Lago.
The teenager that was working at my massage parlor that I know by name.
I mean, yeah, go on.
All we can say for sure is that he acted entirely alone, except for all the people we know he was acting with already, and no one else.
Right.
Especially not the President of the United States of America.
Yeah. It's amazing just how much, how obvious Trump made this Epstein cover-up to. The editing out of the 3 minutes of the video at the cell, of the cell. Why haven't we talked about this? And why isn't this on like every front page all the time? This reporting by Wire that found the metadata that they edited out the video. It just proves everything right there.
The video itself was a joke to begin with. The fact that it was also tampered with and like, it is just the icing on top of that joke cake. It's like, the whole video itself. I think people are still doing like breakdowns of it. Like I think CoffeeZilla has a new video about all of the errors and all of the like weird stuff about it. But I think that at some point we have to just admit that like they're grasping at straws. They're looking for anything they can release or like pretend to release that will absolve Trump of being involved in this. And there's just seemingly not that much.
I just got to back up to the Israeli-born thing. It's about Nevada's about 3% Jewish state, so that is very clearly not about voting publics. It's about the distortion in our politics caused by the mass amounts of cash that Zionists pump into the system, and it leads to absolute grotesqueries like that, where this absolute bigot is demonizing Ilhan Omar. And saying like I'm Israeli born specifically to get those people to open up their wallets. I mean,
and showing
we don't have democracy.
No, and showing all and I kept when I see that like footage of she keeps comparing herself and going back and forth and showing images of Ilhan Omar, and I'm like, bitch, you look crazy. And I just kept thinking about how pretty Ilhan is.
Graceful.
She's like one of our prettiest members of Congress. I'm just like, oh.
But she's
love
brown.
her.
She's brown. She's brown, Emma. You got to understand, for the people who this is aimed at, like her being brown and the other lady being white is all they need to understand like what they should be doing, which is like sending her $25 to prevent a congressperson from a whole separate state from doing things to Arizona that they don't want done to them. I don't know what that would be, but something.
It's also just it's great replacement theory, but just different religious minority.
Because a lot of that stuff is not.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. A lot of stuff it was even back when it was used during the Holocaust was not like entirely unique to Jewish people. Like there were like those similar myths about other undesirable populations, like the Roma being the main ones. And it's just the way we learn about that stuff that like exceptionalizes it for one of another reason.
Exactly. All right, guys, gonna read some IMs and then get out of here now. Cat Lex says, "Hi, MR folks. Just want to send a quick Brian appreciation IM. Where did you find this excellent guy? Also, I've had a Dave Matthews Band song stuck in my head for 3 days, and I want to launch myself into the sun. Please help me."
I thought that was about to be a Dave Matthews compliment and sandwiched with me, and I was about to be furious.
No, just two completely disconnected thoughts, but appreciate the Brian appreciation. Nassau County spokesperson, call his office and demand an explanation. I think this is about Wesley Bell. Vox Populi, the IDF trained Ferguson, Missouri police, so it's not that surprising. That cop also seemed to relish in flipping the tables by calling a white kid boy. I mean, yeah, I didn't know that about Missouri police, but they've definitely trained the NYPD, so that does not shock me. Nikki Nabbs, longtime listener. Oh yeah? Let me get off speaker. All callers think their speakerphone is different. True, but I also give people grace for that because they're listening to the show, and, that's how it goes. MPG, the worst part of the anti-vax autism grift is that it encourages parents to avert that they would rather have a dead child than a neurodivergent child. Noel from San Francisco, you ever overcook a hot dog in the microwave? That's Bobby. RFK's super fun swimming excursions. How dare you attack my legs? I suppose it's funny to you that I have sleep jeans, workout jeans, and swimming jeans.
He's a never dude.
Cat, like Emma's got it. They're doing the CrossFit joint destruction form. Paul from Syracuse, Hochul was talking about affordability at the state fair, maybe Mamdani influence. I mean, also the Delgado primary.
Hochul was riding a bus around talking about the wonders of congestion pricing like 3 months ago because she's ultimately doesn't believe in anything and is frankly confused by the type of winds that she's in. Yeah. But they're overwhelming at a certain point.
I saw this. I laughed so hard at someone tweet out that meme of a guy whose feet are pointing in different directions, and it's like, this is Kathy Hochul, never let them know your next move. But I do like, Hochul delayed congestion pricing, by the way, because Hakeem Jeffries demanded it. It was the National Democratic Party that was obsessed with these suburban voters, and that's why they delayed it prior to the election. And I still think it was insane because obviously the policy is now wildly popular, but it just goes to show the rod in the party that they like are that afraid of good policy.
There's still, even in that interview that Hakeem Jeffries, said that Mamdani has has to answer some serious questions about his housing or whatever. He was saying corporate America sees what Trump is doing with the tariffs. He still thinks that they can make the Democrats the centrist corporation party. It's every bit the fascist attack on our democracy that the Republicans are undergoing, the way that they're trying to pervert it toward those ends. And you see that with Wesley Bell and Latimer getting in. I also just say Craig Bush is going to challenge Wesley Bell again, it looks like.
Hell yeah. When did that
The way she's been tweeting and Instagramming, it seems very strong that she's gearing up.
Let's go. Miller time. It's rich for the crew to make fun of RFK Jr.'s workout routine. Is it?
Why?
Well, you'll notice I was silent the whole time as a fat man.
But
You are not a fat man.
Yeah, you're not fat. And also, we're fit. What are you talking about?
I will take RFK Jr., a 71-year-old man, in any athletic endeavor of his choice, besides, I guess, like decapitating a whale. Whatever he wants to do, like or Pete Hegseth, but I get to drink too. I don't want him to have like I don't want him to be able to use his like performance enhancing alcohol, like the way like Popeye eats spinach, he downs a big bottle of Jack Daniels. I can't have that.
I play soccer in a league multiple times a week. In fact, just this past Friday, I scored a hat trick, and my team won because of those
Hell
3
yeah.
goals. So I'm
Step back.
maybe
I
I'm
work
the
out
opposite of
too,
RFK.
yes.
From the
I
from the
lift.
waist.
I'll even
from the
wear
waist
jeans.
up. From the waist
Yeah.
up, I'm not so great, but waist down, I got the legs. All right.
Yeah. Do not step to Brandon on fitness. You mean Brandon knows what he's doing here.
Yeah, do you watch the show?
Yeah.
No, I'll
Matt
take this
sprints
hoodie
here
off right
every day
now.
too.
True. It's true. Mr. Melancholy, any of the MR crew see weapons yet? I know Matt did.
I have.
Loved Weapons. Were you gonna say something negative again? Oh, you did? Good. Yeah. I thought I don't want to do any spoilers, but I mean the trailer kind of puts up to it with what's going on with the kids leaving. I thought that was really well done. I thought the sort of fever dream that the dad had with the giant gun, this is earlier in the movie, was really well done, and the overall, I guess, witchy angle of it I thought was great.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I think I'll be
hear
talking
it's
about
great.
like weapons tomorrow. Like maybe on my stream we'll do a little bit of a movie. Like, I've seen a lot of movies recently, so yeah, we'll do some. I thought Bring Her Back as well. That was good.
As bad as
Pretty
life
good too, yeah.
as bad as life is, there's always a new movie to watch, and that does give me joy. Pete, prettiest person in Congress, have you not seen Sexy Representative Comer? Tom Lofink, Emma, why would you go on MS Now for a sensible grown-up discussion when you could go on Piers Morgan's show to be shouted at by weirdos? Dark Soul, RFK Jr. literally supplements his testosterone and still peddles horseshit, so he's absolutely worth mocking. I am fully supportive of more research and use of even PEDs, but it's insane to simultaneously be using steroids and hold the beliefs that RFK has. Yep.
Well, I mean, a lot of people just want to be their own doctor. Like they aren't like alternative medicine people in the sense that they're like shamanistic or like traditional medicine. They just want to be able to prescribe themselves whatever pharmaceutical they heard about in like a Facebook parenting group. Like they want to feel as important and smart as doctors. So it's a little bit different.
3 more. Tony 32 UK, bend it like Bender, which is pretty good. All right, 2 more. Ronde's sad face. No one has ever looked more like a villain than every modern villain in America. Every day I become more convinced that evil changes your appearance. And the final I am of the day. Theo Bong, you guys should look into having Uber CoffeeZilla on. He does so many good videos on crypto scams, and he's been covering Epstein a lot lately. He's a great way for normies to start seeing cracks in the system. I have not heard of him, but I will check it out.
CoffeeZilla is very good. He is exactly that. He's a lot of like normies watched him for his crypto scam stuff, and he really was able to pull them into like the Trump is behind like the Epstein files stuff that they might not have thought anything was there if it wasn't for like, you know, his coverage of it.
Awesome.
He's good.
All right, guys. Well, appreciate you all. Thank you so much. Binder, Brandon, Matt, Brian. We will see you all tomorrow.
It might take all the strength I got to get to where I want, but I know